Sup folks, welcome to the part 4, of What If Deku, followed the Anarchist Way, Chapter 33, Dimensional Travels Part 1. Izuku made the portal to explore the multiverse for some trips and he is going to his female version's dimension to screw around. Who will he bang next? What will him and Izumi destroy next? How will female All Might, and the other heroes in Izumi's world react to Izuku? Father and Daughter Chapter 9 will come after this. Let's do this. Izuku looked at the device, then he put it on himself, then continued his conversion with Dabi. It was worth it. Now when anybody tells me to go fuck myself, I can say, I already have, but I'll show you if wonder how. Dabi said, Izuku. What the actual fuck? Izuku said, Dabi, she sucked my dick like it was scripture, it was beautiful. A slap on Titan references? Dabi said, stop. There are things I don't want to hear, and this is one of those things. Izuku laughed. Anyways, I go into her dimension to help her cause some destruction and I might bang with a few women. Dabi said, if you bang Donnie, we are no longer friends. Izuku looked at him. Okay, I won't bang Donnie. But I will bang Shito's gender bend. Dabi sighed. Okay, have fun. Izuku turned on the device which warped him to his destination. Dabi sighed. I need some alcohol to forget that conversion. Izumi's dimension. Izuku landed at Izumi's office, which Izuku looked around to say, looks the same as mine. Izumi came into her office to see Izuku. She smiled. You developed it pretty fast. Izuku smiled. Well, if I didn't have the alien tech, it would have taken longer. Izumi chuckled. You want to cause some damage? Izuku quickly said, please. They got in Izumi's pink Tesla and they drove around the city to then find Eraserhead, female, and Pop Star, female present Mick, which the two stopped in front of them. Izuku and Izumi came out, which Eraserhead asked, Miss Anarchy, who is this? Izumi smiled, this is the Anarchist. He is a male version of me from another dimension. The two heroes looked at him and were terrified that Izumi had the tech to travel through dimensions. But what terrified them the most was she brought version of her where the only difference is gender. Izuku chuckled, God damn, Aizawa and Yamada as women are hot as hell. Eraserhead blushed, what the hell? I need therapy after this shit. Izuku smiled, how about I can be your therapist? Popstar said, Jesus Christ, he is flirting with you, Sara. Izuku pointed at Popstar, don't worry, you're next, I'm shareable. There is enough of me to go around, ladies. Izumi laughed her ass off from the comment, which then All Might, female, came in to asked, what is going on? Izuku shouted, God damn. All Might as a woman is thick. Eraserhead told All Might the situation and she was in shock, which Izumi said, wait until you see her in her weakened form. She isn't that thick as you say. Izuku said, I would still put the smash in her Detroit smash. The three heroes were beyond scarred by Izuku, which Izuku and Izumi pulled out their smoke grenades to then drive away from the heroes. Izumi said, I got some dildos made gold, I'm going to drop them off at Lady Whorehouse's place. Izuku laughed, Lady Whorehouse. They went to her agency to drop off the package, then headed back to Izumi's hideout. Izuku asked, do you and Donnie do time-traveling adventures? Izumi looked at him, you can time travel but not dimensional travel? Izuku looked at her, you can dimensional travel but not time travel? Izuku then handed her the time machine blueprints to make it even for giving him the dimensional travel machine. Izuku looked around her place looking at technologies they can trade. Izuku looked at chambers and asked, what are these for? Izumi said, oh, those are my children, like I took my boyfriend's sperm and my eggs, then put them in those chambers to grow into babies. When they reach 9 months, I will get them out and raise them like normal children. Izuku said, that's smart, actually, you can have children without raising them in your body and you don't have to struggle doing your work while carrying a child. You also don't have to feel the pain of giving birth either. Izumi said, these chambers also gives them nutrients, vaccinates them, makes sure they don't get birth defects, and the chambers are bulletproof. Izuku admired the tech she has, but they shared their tech and they traded. Izuku saw Shito's female version which Izumi called Shauka. Izuku went up to her, "Aren't you a beauty? So, you want to have some fun?" Izumi got up to say, "Have fun, I got to go pick up my godson Ren and go on his play day." Shauka makes sure he doesn't get in too much trouble. Izumi got warped out which Izuku chuckled, "Well, it's just you and me. You want to screw around?" Shauka said, "You can't cause too much trouble." Izuku pulled out his golden blunt and said, "We can just chill in here." They light the blunt up and a while Shauka asked, "If corn oil is made from corn, vegetable oil is made from vegetables, what is baby oil made from?" Izuku giggled, "If Apple made a car, would it have windows?" The two laughed their asses off. Izuku with wide eyes, "If you think about it, a human came out of a human because a human came in a human." Shauka shocked, "Holy shit, what is this?" Izuku chuckled, "God's lettuce, it is 50 times more potent than Ghost and Bruce Banner combined." Shauka said, "This is the stuff Izumi needs to get." Izuku leaned over to say, "You know what, I think we lie down and ask ourselves this." Shauka asked, "What should we ask ourselves?" Izuku asked, "What were we talking about?" Shauka said, "I don't remember." Izuku asked, "You want to bang?" Shauka looked at him, "Fuck it, I want to see this 9-incher Izumi was talking about." Izuku took off his pants and whipped out his 9-incher, which Shauka in shock, "Jesus, that's huge." Izuku chuckled, "I know. It can be a hassle sometimes, but the women love it like crazy." 1 hour later Izuku woke up to say, "God damn, I tired. I guess I will get home before they send a rescue team to get me." Izuku got dressed which Shauka asked, "Will you come back?" Izuku chuckled, "Of course." Izuku warped back to his home dimension to find Dabi across from him. Izuku smiled, "I had a shit ton of fun, Dabi." Dabi asked, "You look like it. Who did you bang?" Izuku smiled. Shauka, aka Shito's gender bent Dabi face palmed. "Why? Just why?" Izuku said, "Because I wanted to, and I will celebrate with a beer later." Dabi said, "One day, this will bite you in the ass later." Izuku chuckled, "You believe so? I mean, you should go fuck yourself, like you should bang Donnie." Dabi sighed, "Let's not talk about this topic again, it disturbs me the most at the moment." Izuku laughed, "My next travel will be me going to find a hero version of myself and kick his ass." Dabi laughed, "That would be funny to watch, but what about if the heroes get involved?" Izuku smirked, "I will kick their asses equally and they will learn a lesson on not to mess with me." Dabi laughed as Izuku set up the next dimensional travel to that said universe which Izuku got prepared for any attack. He looked at Dabi to ask, "You sure you don't want to come?" Dabi shrugged, "Nah, someone has to watch your place while you are gone. I'm not trusting Jin with that task." Izuku sighed, "I tried to get Tamura or Tashiro to do it, but they are busy at the moment." Izuku got warped to go to his next dimension to fuck with and to fight someone. Classroom. Izuku, Original, and his fellow classmates were in class during a lesson which Aizawa looking bored as usual but still teaching. Then a portal opened, and a teen landed in front of class. The teen in a black leather trench coat with a green dress shirt and black dress pants looked at Izuku to say, "Well, I have found my hero version of myself, now it's time to kick your ass." Aizawa used his capture equipment but the teen grabbed it and pulled Aizawa towards him, which the teen ran up to him to punch him at incredible speeds to the chest to then punch him really hard in the face to knock him out. The teen looked up to say, "Okay. Aizawa is down, now you, fight me." Yoraraka got up to ask, "Who are you and what do you mean when you call Deku Hiromi?" Bakugo got up to attack the teen which the teen shot him in the dick to say, "It's exactly what I mean. My name is Izuku Midoriya, the villain known as the anarchist who fights to show the world that quirkless people are not worthless. not waste of life, and can rival quirked people. Now I have come for one purpose and one purpose alone. Deku, come and fight me. The other teachers came in and heard what the anarchist said, which Nezu said, I will not allow one of my students to get hurt from you, Vil. The anarchist shot Nezu's foot to say, shut up, you rodent. I want to fight and I'll leave when the fight is over. The anarchist turned to see Izuku about to punch him, which the anarchist blocked the punch, which Izuku was in shock that this villain version of him can withstand his powerful punch. The anarchist chuckled, this suit can withstand All Might's strongest punch in recorded history up to 10 times. You think one punch that will break your arm will hurt me? Izuku said, I will not let you hurt anyone else. Including Kaken. Bakugo shouted, what the hell you're doing, nerd? The anarchist laughed, you are protecting the bully that made our lives hell. You are definitely worth getting your ass handed to you. I will tell you what. The anarchist injected a stim pack into Izuku, which Izuku jumped back to see his arm was fully healed. The anarchist said, meet me at Gym Gamma. If you bring cops, I will come back with 300 namas and 25 high-end class namas. If anyone interfere with our fight. The anarchist pulled out his quirk erasing gun. I will erase their quirk for good, and I will let you know, Deku, that I may be quirkless, but if you hold back then I will break every bone in your body. The anarchist left to go to Gym Gamma to wait for Izuku, which Shito said, he has to be bluffing, there is no way he is quirkless. All Might looked at the anarchist, what happened to him to go down this path? Bakugo still in pain. Why didn't that bastard give me that instant heal instead of Deku? Izuku said, I'll fight him. Everyone looked at him like he was crazy. Then All Might asked, why? Izuku said, I can see it in his eyes that he just wants a fight and he will leave like he said. He doesn't seem like the guy who would lie. Nezu in pain, you think you can beat him? Izuku said, I'll try, but I need to figure out how to get past that suit he is wearing. 15 minutes later the anarchist looked at the sky, then saw Izuku in his costume. The anarchist laughed his ass off, which Izuku glared at him, what's so funny? The anarchist said, your outfit is impractical, it reminds me too much of All Might, and you also look like a green rabbit. My goddaughter is going to love this. The anarchist took a picture of Izuku, which Izuku asked, goddaughter? The anarchist smiled. The cutest girl on the planet. Her name is Eri and I'm her godfather. Izuku was in shock, but the anarchist said, okay, the rules are to beat the shit out of your opponent until they can't continue and there will be no killing. Ida said, no killing? The anarchist said, I'm not the kind of man who kills, I like to beat up heroes, assholes, rapists, and villains who piss me off, but I'm not a killer. So Deku, do you accept the rules of our fight? Izuku nodded, which then they charged at each other to begin the fight of villain the anarchist versus the hero Deku. Chapter 34, The Anarchist vs Deku. Who will win this fight? This fight will not be the same as the multiverse fanfic because I picked him up before Mirio's death, and the multiverse fanfic and their memories have been erased from the event of the multiverse viewing before putting them back. Deku forgot how to do 40% of a fact because Sleepy's fault and Bored insisted to erase everything. Let's get down to it. The anarchist and Deku met fist to fist, which caused the ground to cave in. The anarchist activated the electric suit button to make himself a human taser. Deku felt the electricity flow in him, so he jumped back, which the anarchist chuckled, can't handle a few hundred volts? Deku said, I will not let you hurt anyone else again. The anarchist smiled, oh, well, I have found a fighter. Well, I am a man of my word, so no one will be hurt by our fight and after our fight. Unless they piss me off. Deku got angry, then attacked the anarchist, which Deku said, one for all, 1,000,000%. The anarchist in wide eyes, don't you fucking dare. Deku's fist met with the anarchist's chest, which blew away the part of the suit that protected his chest. The anarchist grabbed Deku and threw him on the ground to say, what the fuck is wrong with you? Deku glared, what do you mean? The anarchist said, why the fuck would you kill yourself like he did? Deku looked at him to ask, like who? The anarchist whispered in his ear, the 9th user of One for All. Mirio Tagata. He died in our fight from using that move too many times. His body couldn't handle that much power, and you sure as hell can't survive if you keep doing that. The anarchist got up to ask, I ask you to never use that again. For your own safety. Everyone looked at him in shock, which Deku asked, why do you care about me? The anarchist said, when Mirio died, I lost more than a rival. I lost a friend, a reason to truly enjoy fighting heroes, and a person who took our fights seriously. I have spiraled out of control a little bit from his death, but seeing you doing what he did makes me angry that you are making the same mistake. Deku looked at him, so, what are you going to do? The anarchist smiled, I will postpone this fight until you control 50% of your power and I will help you reach it. Everyone looked at him, in confusion. All Might asked, what makes you think you will be any help? Izuku walked over to a stone bench, he punched it and it broke in half. He turned around to say, keep in mind, I'm quirkless. I would like to see Deku do that without using his quirk. The class and teachers were scared shitless from the raw strength that this Izuku possessed, which the anarchist came over to put a stimpack into Deku's broken arm to fix it. The anarchist whispered in his ear, how much of One for All can you control? Deku whispered, 20%. The anarchist sighed, I can get you to 50% in 1 month. In that time frame I will not hurt anybody unless they piss me off. If Bakugo over there calls me weak, nerd, or God forbid Deku, I will beat his ass black and blue. That is just warning, but you have my word I wouldn't attack anybody for no reason. But I'm going to help you get stronger so we can have an actual fight where you don't have to break your bones for our fight. Do we have a deal? Deku looked at everyone, which they had no idea if they should accept it. Nezu asked, how do we know you wouldn't bring an army back to take over the school? The anarchist said, I don't need an army to take over the school, I can conquer this school single-handedly. But I won't take over the school, because I see no reason to. President Mick asked, what did you give Mr. Midoriya? The anarchist said, Stimpack, it's a medicine that my scientist made to instantly heal any wound. I will be using a lot of it for Deku's training. All Might asked, how will you be training young Midoriya? The anarchist smiled, same way I trained. Blood, sweat, broken bones, ripped muscles, and tears. Also, I will teach him about fighting quirkless because his moves aren't horrible. But it's bad. Recovery girl out to ask, who is the one who broke Aizawa's ribs? The anarchist scratched his head, that would be me, Mrs. Shuzenji. He pulled out Anther Stimpack to say, give him this, it will fix his ribs and give him back his energy. Tsu asked, why are you being nice suddenly, Karo? The anarchist smiled, I may be a villain but I have standards. I'm not killing anybody on purpose anytime soon, but I would also think this is going to be fun. Deku asked, fun? The anarchist smiled, that is the one thing I strive for and that is fun. I am not evil, just a free spirit. Now I need to get another shirt because it's a chilly here. Everyone noticed his 8-pack with scars and tattoos, which when he took the rest of his shirt off to reveal more muscles and tattoos, the girls blushed like hell. Midnight was running on over to get the anarchist, but the teachers were holding her back, which Izuku smiled, release Nimri, I like it when she comes on over to attack me. The teachers looked at him, which President Mick asked, what? Izuku smirked, she is one of my girlfriends in my dimension. So let her come and get me. The class were in shock that this Izuku had multiple girlfriends, which Midnight broke free and Izuku welcomed her with open arms. Which Aizawa came out to stop her, which the anarchist sighed, party pooper. The other teachers told Aizawa the situation, which Aizawa said, if I were Midoriya, I would take up the offer. He is offering to improve you in exchange for a safe fight. He said he looks for entertainment and trouble. Give him the entertainment and then he will leave forever, right? The anarchist smirked, well yes, but actually no. I might visit you all again after the fight to screw you and maybe look for some stuff. The anarchist looked at his watch and said, "You want the deal or not? I got something important to go to." Deku asked, "What do you have to go to?" The anarchist said, "I got to go to the House of Councilors and House of Representatives with my stepdad. Then go announce myself as the new owner of the Tokyo Electric Company." Everyone looked at him in shock, which Deku asked, "Stepdad?" The anarchist sighed, "Yeah, Mom. Found love years after Dad left us, but do you accept the deal or not?" Deku looked at his head then him to say, "I will take the deal." They shook hands, which the Deku asked, "Who is your stepdad?" The anarchist looked at him in the eyes, "Promise you and everyone here wouldn't freak out?" Everyone nodded in fear by the incoming answer, which the anarchist said, "All for one." All Might coughed out a lot of blood. Deku fainted. Everyone was in shell shock, which the anarchist took pictures to say, "I'll be back by tomorrow around 7 in the morning and I will bring a few things." The anarchist warped back to his dimension, leaving everyone in horror and shock. The anarchist's dimension. Izuku got back to say, "I'm finally home, well, time to go to government with Dad. But I need to get changed first before I go." Izuku went to his office to get in his black business suit to then looked at his watch to say, "I got time." Izuku wrote down his plan with Deku in his notebook to then hide it in his desk. He then saw Kurogiri's warp gate, to which he then walks through it to finish the rest of his day. The next day, Izuku got the dimension traveling device on, then looked at his stuff he was bringing with him. He went through the check, a few training dummies. Check, 5 namas. Check, 2 high-ends. Check, a crate of stim packs. Check, and headache relief pills. Check. Well, to go back to that dimension and improve the shit out of this Deku. Izuku then set the device to warp the stuff around him as well, and then he warped Deku's dimension. Deku, his class, Aizawa, and All Might stood at Gym Gamma at 6:59 in the morning, wait to what the anarchist had in store for Deku. Then at 7 o'clock, they saw a portal open and saw the anarchist with training dummies, 5 namas, 2 high-ends, and a crate, which he said, "I'm back with the stuff." Aizawa and All Might were worried about the namas and high-ends, which one high-end asked, "Where are we, Uncle Izuku?" The anarchist said, "We are in another dimension, Drax. We are helping this version of me get stronger so we can have a proper fight." Drax said, "Oh. That's interesting, Uncle Izuku." Everyone was in complete shock by the chain of events that were unfolding in front of them. Momo asked, "Why does he call you Uncle Izuku?" The anarchist smiled, "You see, I'm in charge of one of the Nama factories, and since I'm not their father, I tell them to call me Uncle Izuku because I don't like being called Master." All Might asked, "Why did you bring these Namas with you?" The anarchist said, "I'm not carrying these dummies, the crate of stim packs we are going to use, and they will also be used for Deku's training." The anarchist punched one of the Namas and looked at Deku with a sadistic smile. "They all have shock absorption as well. I'm going to break that weak body of yours and rebuild it." Deku asked, "What am I supposed to do first?" The anarchist went up to one of the dummies to punch and kick it with incredible speed and power until the dummy broke into pieces. The anarchist looked back to say, "Remember, I'm quirkless. You will train quirkless, then train your quirk. Then give you a fighting style to learn because you have no real style." Bakuga yelled, "What kind of bullshit is this?" The anarchist sighed, then took one of his headache reliefs to say, "That will be your only warning, Bakugo." Everyone was in shock by how bold this Izuku was compared to their Izuku, which Bakugo's vein popped out and he yelled, "What did you just called me?" The anarchist said, "Bakugo doesn't like his name. Well, I could call you Little Dick, Kakin, or even better, Bush." Sero asked, "Bush?" The anarchist chuckled, "Bush did 9/11. Bakugo got triggered by this Izuku, which the anarchist chuckled, "If he attacks me, I wouldn't hesitate to break his hands like I would do to Bakugo in my dimension." Deku asked, "Why are you like this?" The anarchist pulled out a chair that Drax carried for him, which he asked, "You sure you want to know?" Deku nodded, which the anarchist began to tell his story to Deku. They shared the same story until the part where the anarchist snapped and fought back. They were in shock by the events he went through, which he smiled, but honestly I would go through it again. Deku asked, "Why?" The anarchist smiled, "If I didn't go down this path, I wouldn't have given quirkless people around the world to look forward to the future. I wouldn't have this technology, an army, be a godfather, made friends, erased Bakugo's quirk, and gotten revenge on the people who destroyed my dreams and abused me. In the end it was worth it and I would do it again in a heartbeat." All Might asked, "Why did I, in your world, told you that you couldn't be a hero?" The anarchist chuckled. He said he didn't want me to get hurt, because quirkless people were more likely to get heavily injured than quirked people. But he didn't know that I had already hurt myself to become stronger. "Well, no need to cry over spilled milk. Well, come on Deku and show me what you got on those dummies. But don't use your quirk because I want to train your body first, then your quirk." Deku nodded, then went up to a dummy to attack it, but after the first punch he felt pain, which the anarchist said, "I forgot to mention that the dummies are made of marble rock. They are pretty hard to break. Also remember to train smart and hard, always have a plan on things like this." The class left to do stuff, so All Might watched the two, which the anarchist sighed, "This is going to be hard." While Deku was getting his knuckles broken and repaired repeatedly, then he asked, "How did you break these dummies?" The anarchist smiled, "Well, I guess I have to spoil the surprise. Hit the same spot over and over again with all your strength but not quirk until it breaks." Deku then realized he was right and thought about the USJ which All Might beat that Namu. He got back to the dummy, which All Might asked, "Did you really have to start off with a training dummy made rock?" The anarchist chuckled, "Well, when I started training at age 12 with wooden dummies, I got to stone dummies. Now I use shock absorption Namas to train and he is doing fine." Deku broke a dummy but broke his knuckles, which the anarchist said, "Good job, you broke one dummy in 30 minutes and broke your knuckles like 15 times. Deku shouted, "What the hell?" The anarchist said, "There we go. I guess I'm also help you grow a pair as well. Well, let's get you fixed up and we have." The anarchist looked at the dummies to say, 10 more dummies until we move to using Namas." Midnight came out and All Might asked, "Can I ask why you came?" Midnight said, "To help keep an eye on you 3. The anarchist smirked, "Hey Nimri, you want to sit on my lap or you want me to sit on your lap?" All Might and Deku were in shock. Then Midnight smiled, "Sit on my lap, little Shota." The anarchist got up for Midnight to sit down, then he sat on Midnight's lap, which she giggled sadistically. Chapter 35, The Wingman. The anarchist is going to help Deku control his quirk better, but he will do more than that. He has plans to make Deku a ladies' man, be the man, and make Bakugo his bitch or something close to that last one. Let's get into this. It's been 2 weeks since the anarchist has been training Deku, which he has been improving a lot. Deku has been controlling one for all easier than before and he can use more of it. Deku's shirts have gotten too small for him to wear, which the anarchist has given him shirts, but they were the anarchist merchandise shirts. The teachers and students didn't feel comfortable seeing shirts of a villain version of Deku, which Midnight asked, "Why do you really want to come to this dimension?" The anarchist was sitting on her lap and he drank some vodka in a water bottle. "Originally I came for the idea of a win-win fight, where in a way I kick my own ass, either way. Since he is me and I am him, Izuku Midoriya kicked Izuku Midoriya's ass will be a funny story to tell my future kids." The teachers looked at the anarchist with unsettled Tom faces, which he shrugged it off. He looked around to see some girls looking at Deku, which the anarchist thought, "Holy shit, he needs to get laid. I'm going to help him." Deku was currently fighting 2 Namas at once, which scares All Might because he barely won against one Namu with shock absorption. The anarchist got up to say, "Okay, take a break, Deku. I got a few words with you about something." The two went somewhere private. Deku asked, "What is this about?" The anarchist asked, "Are you going out with anyone?" Deku in shock, "What?" The anarchist chuckled, "Calm down. You aren't going out with anyone? Deku calmed down. No. The anarchist asked. Why? Deku embarrassed. I don't know. The anarchist grabbed his shoulders. I'm going to make you a ladies' man and you are not going to regret it. Deku looked at him. What? The anarchist said, you heard me, now we just need to build your confidence. You know that brown hair girl you are always with? Deku muttered, You're Araka-san. The anarchist smirked. You are going on a date with her and I'm going to help you. Deku looked at him. Why are you helping me? The anarchist said, I'm tired of you being dense as a black hole, so you are doing this. And also you will learn how to bold in any situation. Deku was always insecure for a long time, but the anarchist was right. He needed to be bolder for any situation. Deku nodded, which the anarchist smiled. Let's get you a woman. In the hallways of UA, Deku asked, are you sure it will work? The anarchist said, yes, it works. I'm a man of my word, trust me. Deku went up to Uraraka to say, hey Uraraka. Uraraka smiled, hey Deku, how are you doing? Deku said, tired from the training my villain version of myself gave me, but I feel much stronger. The anarchist in hiding. Good, conversion is key. Now do the move. Deku got her to a wall and he wall slammed to asked, would you go out with me? Uraraka blushed, then she stuttered, yes, that well dbgre act. I would love v2, wh act me. Deku told her the time, which the anarchist chuckled, basic move. But effective. Midnight came up behind the anarchist to asked, what are you doing, little Shota? The anarchist smiled, I'm getting Deku to get a woman. She looked over to quietly say, yes. I won the bet, thank you. The anarchist smirked, I want in on your other bets, put me down on Shitaks Momo, Kirishimax Bakugo, and Ojai Rockstaru. Also, you want to help me with getting him dressed for his date. Midnight's eyes shined, which she said, let me collect my winnings, put down your bets. And then I will head on over. What will you be putting on the line? The anarchist said, let me see. The anarchist pulled out a gold bar, which he smiled, how about this for Shitaks Momo? He pulled out a little bag of diamonds to say, for Kirishimax Bakugo. He looked for anything that wasn't a weapon or something he truly needed until he pulled out a few blunts but not God's lettuce, which he said, for Ojai Rockstaru. Midnight collected them and took a picture of Deku and Uraraka to show proof, which she headed over to the teacher's lounge to get her winnings and put up the anarchist's bets. Deku came to him saying, she said yes. The anarchist patted his back, I know. I saw, now we need to get you dressed for your date. Deku's dorm room. The anarchist looked in his room and was in disgust. Can I borrow your bathroom real quick? Deku smiled, sure. The anarchist went to his restroom to throw up in the toilet from the amount of all might in his room. He cleaned himself up to come out to say, okay, let's look in your closet for some clothes. They looked in his closet, which the anarchist was beyond disappointed by it, so he said, okay, we are going to my dimension to get you some proper clothes and shoes. Deku asked, what's wrong with my shoes? The anarchist said, nothing is wrong with them. They are just for anything but fancy events and dates. The anarchist then warped both of them to his dimension to pick up some clothes for him to use. The anarchist's dimension. They got warped to the anarchist's dimension, more specifically in his workshop for people working for him. The anarchist said, okay guys, you didn't see him come here. You will get a pay raise after I deal with him. The grunts nodded and the two headed over to his office, which the anarchist put Deku in a box to roll to his office. When they got to his office, the anarchist got Deku out of the box to say, okay, let's look for clothes and shoes. Deku looked at his closet full of villain outfits, clothes, weapons, and other stuff. The anarchist said, don't touch anything, it's for your own good. Deku asked, how rich are you? The anarchist said, rich enough to support 20 to 50 children in the future and do whatever I want. Deku in shock. What? The anarchist threw some clothes and shoes for Deku to have, which they heard a knock which Deku got in the box. The anarchist closed the box and said, "Come in." It was Kai and Eri, which he said, "Sorry for disturbing you as Yuku, but I have something come up and I need you to watch Eri." The anarchist smiled, "No problem, I just going to visit other dimensions which she should be safe to come with." Eri jumped in the air with her little plague mask he made for her, which everyone found it cute. Kai said, "Thanks, Eri, be good." Eri nodded, which Kai left, and the anarchist picked her up to ask, "You want to see a version of me who is a hero?" Eri in confusion, "But you are my hero." The anarchist smiled so pure. They got to the workshop to warp back to Deku's dimension, which he was going to have a fun time dressing himself up properly. Deku's dimension. The anarchist got Deku out of the box, and the first thing Eri asked, "Why is there another Uncle Izuku in the box?" The anarchist smiled, "I'm helping this version of me dress up properly and having fun helping him a little bit." Deku was scarred by see this Eri wearing a Yakuza plague mask like overalls with a black dress, and the whole conversion. The anarchist and overhaul head back in his office. Midnight came in to help out, which she saw Eri to ask, "Why are you here, Eri, and why are you wearing that mask?" Eri in confusion, "What do you mean, Aunt Nimri?" The anarchist said, "Kai is busy with something, so I'm watching her while doing this. She is my goddaughter and I'm also a Yakuza member." Midnight looked at Eri to say, "I can't resist at this cuteness." Deku was a little concerned with the anarchist and Midnight being together a lot, which the anarchist pulled out some clothes and shoes to say, "Okay, put these on." Deku looked at the clothes, then went to the restroom to get changed. He came out in a black suit with green dress shirt, red tie, black dress pants, and black Oxfords, which Midnight said, "I like it, but the tie needs work." The anarchist sighed, "I know Dad left us, man, but you can at least learn how to do it from someone else." Deku asked, "How did you learn?" The anarchist smiled, "Toya Setsuno, how else?" Deku remembered that Toya Setsuno was one of the 8 expendables of Shihosekai, which after he got his tie on properly, he asked, "Okay, what should I do?" The anarchist laughed, "Be yourself, relax, and have a fun time." The anarchist put a condom in Deku's pocket to say, "Always be prepared for anything." "I mean anything." Deku nodded, which when he left, the anarchist smirked, "You want to follow them?" Midnight chuckled, "Yes, I do." Izuku picked up Eri to carry her around to show off this new dimension, which was going to be fun. They were following them until the anarchist saw Mirio, their Riri, Aizawa, All Might, and Nezu. They looked at other version of Eri as terror, and the anarchist looked at Mirio in terror, which the anarchist said, "We are going to pretend we didn't see each other." Mirio asked, "Is that your Eri?" The anarchist said, "Yep, I'm watching her because Kai is a little busy at the moment." Mirio got pissed by the mention of Kai, which, the anarchist said, "We got to go, remember that we didn't see each other." The anarchist, Eri, and Midnight ran off to follow Deku and his date, which they were going to help out from the sidelines. Deku and Uraraka came across Bakugo, which he asked, "What are you doing, Deku?" Deku said, "I'm not dealing with your bullshit, Kaken. I want to spend some time having fun without hearing your voice. For tonight, okay?" Midnight was in shock that Deku stood up for himself, which the anarchist smiled, at a boy, put him in his place. Bakugo and Uraraka were in shock, which Deku said, "Now will you excuse us?" Deku and Uraraka left Bakugo, which Bakugo saw the 3 following the 2, which he glared, You made Deku change. What did you do?" The anarchist smirked. "I gave him a pair." "You got a problem with that?" Bakugo said, "Why are you changing Deku? He was fine the way he was." The anarchist sighed, "You never understood, but no need to argue with a monkey." Which the 3 left Bakugo to follow Deku. Bakugo looked at the anarchist with hatred, then he changed Deku. Bakugo wanted to kill him and make him pay for changing Deku to stand up for himself. Bakugo said, "I'm going to kill you, you bastard." Chapter 36, Izubook. The anarchist is having a blast with training Deku and improving him. What will the anarchist Sofa view this? Will the anarchist win some of his bets or will he lose one of them? Miss Anarchy, female anarchist, will come in to show off her new invention from her grunts. Let's give this. The anarchist was sitting on his chair watching Deku train with his new quirk that popped up, which the anarchist explained what it was. The anarchist told him, Mirio used it on me one time, but he had no control of it, so it never appeared again. But One for All mutated on him like you, so you have a more powerful version of One for All. Which I can still help you with this. Deku was now trying different thing with this quirk called Black Whip, which the anarchist fell asleep. The anarchist's mind, I will refer to him as Izuku. Izuku looked at the past users, which Izuku asked, what is it now? Mirio smiled and gave him a thumbs up. I knew you can be a hero. Nana smiled. I see the heroic spirit. Mirio was talking. Sensei Chang said, Gurren Monkey. You are doing great, keep it up. They were praising Izuku, which he said, I'm only doing this to prevent him from doing what you did, Mirio. I also want to fight him just for my entertainment, so I'm no hero. The first user smiled, we think differently. But this is just the first step. Izuku rolled his eyes then said, I'm not fighting my dad still, that's Shinso's job not mine. The users knew he wasn't going to fight All for One, but he can at least do more heroic stuff than villainous stuff. Which, Mirio said, okay, we are going to let you go. Izuku sighed, okay, at least warn me before you take me into this mindfuck. Outside the anarchist's mind, the anarchist woke up to hear Deku. Deku looked at Bakugo to say, yes Kaken. Bakugo said, not you, the other one. The anarchist looked at him enraged to say, what the fuck did I say about calling me that, little dick? The teachers looked at the two as they didn't know who they should protect from the other. The anarchist opened his headache relief bottle to find it was empty. He looked at Bakugo to say, you see this bottle here? It was full of mercy I could provide. I'm fresh out of mercy to give, you better take that shit back. Bakugo said, no way. Deku. The anarchist stood up laughing, you want to fight, I'll give you a massacre. Bakugo grinned, you are weak, quirkless, Deku, what can you possibly do? Everyone saw Bakugo was pissing him on purpose, which Deku said, stop it, Kaken. Bakugo said, why are you defending a villain? He has probably been lying to you about many things and he is probably taking advantage of you for something. The anarchist laughed, you are pushing little dick. You want a fight, then let's fight right here. Right now. Only one rule, fight until your opponent can't fight anymore. Bakugo smiled, deal. Everyone got off the field to where only Bakugo and the anarchist stood facing each other. Bakugo flew in the air then flew down at high speeds, which the anarchist smirked. Bakugo got really close, but the anarchist pulled out a flashlight to blind Bakugo and jumped out of the way. Bakugo landed and the anarchist got behind him to punch his back at incredible speed. Bakugo was coughing blood from each hit, which then the anarchist said, you are already dead. The anarchist roundhouse kicked his head, sending Bakugo flying out of the field. The anarchist said, I dare you get up. I broke your ribs, your shoulder blades, and caused some internal bleeding. I have no quirk, if I can kick your ass then Deku should kick your ass. I went easy on you because I have a code of not to kill on purpose. I promised Deku I wouldn't kill, and you are not my Bakugo. So, stay the fuck down. Bakugo was in pain, which Deku said, that's enough. The anarchist smirked, you're right. Let me put a stimpack in him. Hopefully he has learned his lesson. The anarchist injected a stimpack in Bakugo then went back to his chair to relax, which Deku went up to the anarchist, I much as Kaken is an ass. He didn't deserve that much of an ass beaten. The anarchist smiled, I like this improvement since we first met. I feel our fight coming soon. I can't wait for it, but keep little dick over there in check. Then a warp gate opened which relaxed a woman the anarchist knew too well, Miss Anarchy. Also known as Izumi Midoriya. The guys looked at Izumi in awe. The girls, teachers, and Mirio were in shock by this version of Izuku. Izumi looked at them to say, "The anarchist. Who is that Izuku you are with?" The anarchist said, "This is the hero Deku, All Might's successor." Izumi chuckled, "I never thought I would feel myself in a bunny outfit like that, but anyways I give this new tech I made for every Izuku and Izumi. I call it Izubook. It allows every version of us to connect with each other and see what we are doing. It's like Facebook, but for us in every dimension." The anarchist's jaw dropped. "That is genius. I see and connect with every version of ourselves. Amazing." Which Izumi gave the anarchist and Deku each a device for it which they put in their information. They saw every single version of Izuku and Izumi, which the anarchist said, "I'm going to send friend requests like crazy." Deku was impressed by the technology that a villain female version just gave him, and he was amazed by the different versions of him that he was seeing. The anarchist looked through say, "Friend, friend, friend, not friend, friend. Hell no." Deku asked, "Who is the hell no?" The anarchist said, "Look up Joker, but the one who looks like a clown." Deku looked at the Izuku he was talking about and was in shock by this Izuku having videos of him killing innocents like crazy and laughing while he is doing it. Deku said, "We should stop him." The anarchist said, "Deku, think about this, we are a monster in that dimension. We enter it. They will arrest us, and this Joker will kill us without a second thought." The teachers were hearing what they were talking about, which Aizawa said, "Mr. Midoriya, I know you want to help them, but it's too dangerous to go into that dimension like the anarchist is saying." Deku said, "But." All Might said, "No buts, we can't do anything about it." Izumi felt something and she turned to roundhouse kick Mineta in the face, which the anarchist cheered, "Nice hit on that one. Can I get a replay on that?" The girls were impressed by Izumi, which she looked at Bakugo, which she laughed. "Why does Bichugo as a male look like he lost his boobs?" The anarchist laughed his ass off, "Bichugo." Deku looked at the two as they laughed their asses off, which Izumi said, "I should give female hero Deku this and it will be interesting." The anarchist said, "That would be interesting." Nezu said, "Just you two being here with our Izuku causes enough damage to the rules of the multiverse." Izumi and the anarchist yelled, "Fuck the rules." Izumi looked at her watch to say, "Well, I got to watch my godson Ren. Have fun with your training, Deku. Anarchist stay bad and powerful." The anarchist said, "I will." Izumi left, which Mineta said, "No, don't la." Izumi stepped on his back, which broke it, which he then warped away. The anarchist injected a still packing that purple fuck. The anarchist said, "I'm going to love to see all these different Izukus." Midnight smiled, "I liked her. She has skill, which I would gladly improve." The other teacher gave an unsettled Tom face from that statement, which they continued training for a while until the anarchist said, "Okay, we are done for the day. See you tomorrow." Deku said, "Wait." The anarchist asked, "Yes?" Deku said, "We need to put an end to Joker." The anarchist looked at him, "What did I say about this?" Deku said, "It's what right and you know that." The anarchist said, "Look, I don't like kill as much as you. But we shouldn't go to another dimension to stop a crazy villain from killing any more people. He is beyond dangerous, and you seen the videos. He has an army and he will kill his own men to meet his goals." Deku asked, "What about your army?" The anarchist said, "I don't have men to spare for this operation, and this device can only warp up to 20 people, at most, with me." Deku asked, "What if we brought some weapons and other versions of us to come with us? Will you agree to it?" The anarchist thought about it, then sighed, "Fine, but I want my stuff, and who should we bring?" Deku said, "Well, we can bring hero versions and villains versions of us with us." The anarchist asked, "So like Infinity Wars?" Deku smirked, "Yes, but we can only bring..." "How many?" The anarchist said, "Assuming everybody brings their own toys, then 10, let's get 8 more with us." Deku said, "Let's search for our teammates." The anarchist and Deku sat down looking at their zoo books, which they made a list of they think they should bring. Then they looked at the lists and they agreed on which 8 they should bring. The anarchist looked at the final list. Okay, we are bringing Dr. Izuku Strange, Izuku Auditor da Firenze, Assassin Creed, Izuku Stark, Iron Man, Deadshot, Izuku Hex, Johann Hex, The Punisher, and we both agreed on John Wick, right? Deku said, yes, Joker has a bunch of namas and you saw the video of John killed 5 namas with a pencil. The anarchist said, good, let's assemble. They first got Deku's stuff, then warped to the anarchist's dimension for him to grab his power armor, guns, and quirky racing bullets for the job. Then they warped to the first Izuku. They wanted to talk to Dr. Izuku Strange. Dr. Strange's dimension. Dr. Strange stood in his base in Japan, which then he saw the portal open, which Deku asked, so you agree to help us with Joker? Dr. Strange said, as much as I'm not supposed to mess with the multiverse. This Joker needs to be taken down. Dr. Strange got on his necklace and robes, which the anarchist said, stylish. They then warped to their next trip, the assassin. Izuku Auditor da Firenze's dimension. Firenze got back in his base in Rome after hiding the Apple of Eden, which he turned to see the 3 other Izukus. The anarchist said, are you the assassin? Firenze said, perhaps. Dr. Strange asked, does he know about Joker? Firenze held up the device that allows to see other dimensions that Izumi dropped off. Deku asked, you want to come with us to stop him? Firenze said, give me a moment to grab on some stuff, first. Firenze grabbed his crossbow, smoke bombs, poison, parachutes, the dagger of Brutus, and the sword of Altair. Then he stepped next to them, which they warped to get Izuku Stark, also known as Iron Man. Then to the other dimensions to assemble the greatest Izukus for the job to defeat the Joker and his army. John Wick's dimension. John Wick was relaxing and preparing to fight an army who were about to kill him starting at midnight. Then he looked to see 9 versions of himself, which the anarchist said, trick question, do you want to come with us to fight an insane and monstrous version of ourselves or fight that army about to kill you soon? John Wick asked, are you talking about Joker? Deku nodded, which John Wick said, you know what? Why not, sure, I'll fight that monster. John Wick then changed his plan to get his weapons with them, which the anarchist said, we are going to Joker's dimension to stop him from killing any more innocents, so we got to find a base to set up at and plan before we just go guns blazing. Stark asked, who put you in charge, anarchist? Deadshot said, no one, he is pointing out a basic idea. Hex said, we need time to plan, we have the firepower, and we have the men. Let's go. The Punisher said, let's serve some justice to a dimension that needs it the most. Deku said, I think we should hide there so we can plan a prepare for attack. The anarchist smiled, okay, time to warp to our base of operations. Joker's dimension. They walked out of the portal to enter an abandoned warehouse, which they looked around, which the anarchist took a deep breath, just like old times. Stark shrugged, I can relate to that. Punisher said, well, I'm going to get set up. Firenze went to walk around the place to check if it was secured. Hex found a spot to sit down on and he sat there resting. John Wick checked his weapons to get ready for anything. The anarchist turned on a TV he brought over to see the news of this dimension, and Dr. Strange was going over 4 million possibilities on how they can be Joker. Deku smiled, which the anarchist said, they came for your idea and for your heroic cause. You should be proud of that, you are a true hero here. Deku said, I always had the feeling to do what is right and you helped me act on that feeling boldly. The anarchist chuckled, so, what should this group be called? Stark said, we are not being called the Avengers. Deadshot said, or the Suicide Squad. Firenze asked, how about Fratramisti? Everyone nodded, but Deku asked, what does that mean? The anarchist said, it's Latin for Brotherhood of the Righteous. Deku smiled, I like it, we may not all be heroes, but we will fight for what's right. Chapter 37, Fratramisti Mission 1. The first mission of the new Brotherhood as they fight to overthrow and defeat Joker is Yuku. They have the hero, the sniper, the assassin, the one-man army, the Punisher, the tracker, the magic man, the tech genius, the wild card, and oops, they forgot to get the 10th member. The Anarchist is going to find the 10th member, then they will go fight the Joker. But there will be more missions soon and the team will expand and grow as each mission comes. Enjoy. Deku watched as the other 8 made the empty warehouse into a workshop to upgrade the weapons, armor, and more, quirky racing bullets. Deku then noticed something. Anarchist, is it me or there are only 9 of us? The Anarchist counted everyone then said, we forgot to bring a 10th person with us, who should we bring to help us? Everyone thought to themselves, which Stark said, we should just see who is available at the moment. They pulled out their Azu books to see who was available to come with them without Joker knowing they are in his dimension. The Anarchist said, Deadpool is busy with something at the moment. Stark said, his Yuku banner is unavailable too. Doctor Strange said, I got Venom to agree to come with us. Which is perfect for this. The Anarchist worked to Venom and brought him back. Venom said, I heard, you needed help, so we are offering help. Venom got set up, which all of the Izukas surrounded a table with maps and papers on it. The Anarchist said, okay, so Joker captured All Might, Bakugo, a few other heroes, All for One, the League of Villains, Overhaul, and a few politicians, which he is going to parade them around like his trophies. Which we will take advantage of this. Deadshot said, I will set up a sniping position where he can't run away without getting shot. John Wick looked at everyone, there are a lot of Namas, are you sure you can handle them with your suits? The Anarchist, Stark, Venom, and Deku nodded, which the Punisher said, I have the weapons and training to kill them. Deku shocked, wait, are Namas still human? The Anarchist said, nope, they are not human when they are created so we can kill them. Firenze said, I will free the heroes, Bakugo, the villains, and the politicians. Doctor Strange said, I will deal with unexpected reinforcements he has. Venom got in his Venom form to say, we will handle the high end. Deku nodded, are you ready for this? Everyone nodded, which the Anarchist said, after this mission, we are going to get tattoos that read Fratramisti as a sign that we are a group that fights for what's right. Everyone laughed, then Punisher said, actually, I would do that. Everyone thought about it, then they agreed to do it, which they split up to get in their positions. The Anarchist put on a special good luck mask, which it was a green and black plague mask, and gold lens goggles. Deku didn't like seeing him wearing Yakuza stuff, but he wasn't going to argue with him about it now. They got in their positions in the city, which they saw Joker's parade marching through the city. Joker wore a purple suit with a purple hat, he had white makeup with scars on his face to make him look like he is always smiling. Deadshot looked through his scope, then in the radio, I count 300 grunts, 100 Namas, and 1 high-end. Venom, Deku, the Anarchist, Stark, the Punisher, Hex and John Wick heard him and decided to walk out of the alley and walk towards the parade. Joker was having a blast as he punched All Might and said, look around, All Might, as the world watches you. In this weak and pathetic form. Then he went up to All for One, you will never have this city. You know why? Joker started laughing, because you are weak and never meant to have it, because it belongs to me. Then he went up to Bakugo to say, what did you believe a hero should be? Oh right, a winner. Look at you all tied up, weak, broken, and a loser. Bakugo tried to move but he couldn't, which Joker laughed and shot Overhaul in the leg. Oops, I forgot to put this on safety. No, I didn't. Then one of his grunts said, sir, there are some men walking towards us. Joker looked at what his grunts were talking about, which he said, fools. Kill them. The Namas and grunts charged at small group of Izukas and Joker was smiling. All Might lost all hope until they heard boom. Everyone looked at the source of the explosion and they saw the 7 men killing Namas and beating up the grunts. They fought with skill and power which Venom ate, grunts and sliced up Namus. John Wick, Hex, Punisher gunned down Namus and grunts with quirk-erasing bullets. The Anarchist and Deku were using martial art to throw Namus and grunts around like toys. The Joker walked closer to see what was going on. Behind All Might they heard, "Relax my friends, you are being rescued." They looked to see Firenze with his hood on to where they can't see his face, which he went over to everyone to free them. The Doctor Strange opened a portal to say, "Get in for your own safety." Bakugo weakly asked, "Who are you?" Doctor Strange smiled, "My name is Dr. Izuku Strange, and we are here to defeat Joker." Firenze removed his hood to say, "My name is Izuku Auditor da Firenze, now go." They all went in the portal like they were told to, which Joker saw Venom was charging at him, which Joker laughed, "High End. Take out the trash." High End roared, which Venom yelled, "Yes. Fight me bitch." High End and Venom started fighting each other, which the Anarchist said, "He isn't going to survive this, I'm going to help him." Stark asked, "How do you know he would survive the fight?" The Anarchist said, "I make Namus and High Ends, that one specific is powerful, to kill All Might." The Anarchist in his armor and a minigun in his hand gunned out anyone in his way. Venom was winning the fight until High End released the 9 Namus stored in his body. Venom jumped back to rethink of a strategy to fight them, until he saw the 9 Namus got shot up, which he turned to see the Anarchist coming up. The Anarchist chuckled, "I'm out of bullet. I guess I have to beat the shit of High End with you." Venom laughed, "We guess we have to, you know its weakness?" The Anarchist chuckled, "Just remove his head and burn it to hell, or just burn his head off." Deku then jumped to land in front of Joker, which he laughed, "Who are you?" Deku revealed his face to say, "I'm you." "We are you." The Joker looked at him, No, you can't be real." Deku said, "I'm a hero version of you, my hero name is Deku." Joker in rage, "Why is that my hero name?" Deku smiled, "Because Deku is the name of a hero, who will protect the innocent," with a smile on his face. The Joker pulled out his gun but Deadshot his hand, which the Joker laughed in pain. The Joker smiled, "I guess I have to fight you or." The Joker threw a smoke bomb and said, "Kurogiri, warp me out of here." Namu appeared from the warp portal and they jumped in, which Deku was about to get in. But he heard, "Don't do it." Doctor Strange grabbed him to say, "This is a part of our plan to defeat Joker. We got the heroes, politicians, the League of Villains, and Overhaul Freed. We will reinforce them so we can defeat him and bring him to justice for his crimes." Firenze looked at Venom and the Anarchist, who just defeated High End, which the Anarchist said, "Joker probably ran to his Namu factory, but this is the first time I ran out of quirk-erasing bullets in my minigun. It feels satisfying." Deadshot in the radio, "What now?" John Wick said, "Now we help some people build up strength to fight Joker." They went back to their base where everyone they rescued was at, which they were given stimpaks and they answered questions. All Might said, "So you all are Izuku from different dimensions. You came because Deku wanted to stop Joker." Deku said, "It's what's right, he did a lot of wrong and he needs to be stopped." All for One asked, "What makes you think you can stop him?" The Anarchist said, "Look at the bullet assembly line. Look at its producing." Overhaul picked up the bullet to say, "It can't be. I have spent my life trying to make this." Bakugo grunted, "What is it, bird face?" The Anarchist chuckled, "Quirk-erasing bullets, me and you created them, Kai. It first was created from a little girl's blood and flesh, but then we found a way to replicate her blood, so we stopped using her blood." Overhaul asked, "Was that girl-y?" The Anarchist nodded, which Overhaul said, "I would have this if Joker didn't kill her." The Izukus were in shock by what they heard, which John Wick, Hex, Punisher, Venom, and Deadshot loaded their guns and prepared to kill Joker. The Anarchist said, "I want to turn Joker into a Namu just to watch him suffer for the rest of his life." Deku said, "Guys, we are not killing him. Even if he killed Eri, we must defeat him to make him face justice." Doctor Strange said, correct, so don't kill him unless you have to. The guys grunted, which then Hex said, I'm going to find where his Namu factory is at. Firenze said, it took some time, but after looking at buildings that fit the requirements, we found one that can fit. They looked at the building, which Bakugo said, the chemical plant? Deku asked, you know the place? Bakugo said, that is where he turned into that monster he is now. He tripped into the chemicals when I chased him. The anarchist said, when you bullied him, and he was escaping from you. Bakugo looked down in shame, which All For One and All Might felt better, which All Might said, the drugs are wearing off. Stark asked, what drugs? All For One said, Joker is a master chemist. He made drugs that make people die from laughter to drugs that weaken people to a point to where using their quirks kill them. The anarchist said, don't burn a plant down, I want to see how he creates his gases. Everyone looked at him, which he said, researching for cures for them. I'm not a monster. What do you think I am? I'm not Joker. Deku sighed, I disagree with not burning the plant, we should destroy it. Everyone nodded. Then they prepared for their trip to Ace Chemical Plant to defeat the Joker and end this chaos. Ace Chemical Plant Joker with the last of his grunts got the plant ready to blow if they fail. Joker looked at his latest creation. Joker smiled as he saw the machine make the ultimate drug that he will use to kill All Might, All For One and Overhaul at once. Joker then looked at a blonde girl, his age, Harley. You ready for some fun? Harley smiled, yes Mr. J. Joker laughed, good. We will go out with a bang. Joker looked around to say, where is Eri? A white-haired girl came to view. She had white makeup like Joker. She giggled her way to Joker, and her horn on her head was half a foot long. Joker said, Eri, stand next to me. We have guests coming soon. Eri giggled, yes, Papa. Joker then laughed, did you enjoy your chemical bath? I bet it was a new experience. Eri smiled, yes, Papa. Harley hugged the two to say, look, we are a happy family. Joker said, yes. One big happy family. The Brotherhood, All Might, Overhaul, All For One, the rest of the League of Villains, and a few heroes looked at the plant's entrance. Deku said, okay. Let's end this. As soon as Deku opened the door, Namus came out to attack everyone from every direction. They were being overpowered and overwhelmed, until the anarchist yelled, put on the headphones I gave you all. Everyone shrugged to put them on, but when everyone did, the anarchist's suit produced a sound wave that made every Namu's brain explode. Stark asked, why didn't you use that this entire time? The anarchist said, well, first of all, it has a 5-day wait time. So, it has to be worth it like this situation. Venom said, you could have killed my symbiote with that. The anarchist said, but I didn't, so trust me, I'm a man of my word. They then walked in the building to see it was empty, but they heard Joker's laugh, but some other people with them. They ran in to see Joker and his girls, Overhaul in shock. Eri? But you killed her. Joker looked at them to say, I did. I'm taking a stab at parenting. Joker lifted her hair to reveal the stitches on her forehead and Dabi in rage, what did you do to Toga? Joker said, same as me. Just a nice chemical bath. Joker, Harley, and Eri laughed like madmen, which terrified everyone. Deku charged at Joker, but Harley with a baseball bat got in front of him, and giggled, sorry, I'm letting you hurt Puddin'. All Might charged at Joker, but Joker smiled as All Might fell into his trap. A bucket of hydrochloric acid fell on All Might's head. All Might died from the acid, which Joker frowned, always a meathead. Harley had multiple quirks that made her fast, strong, and bloodthirsty, which everyone was trying to defeat her. Joker said, Eri. Kill, Overhaul. His existence disgusts me. Eri giggled, yes Papa. Eri then appeared in front of Overhaul in a flash, which she grabbed his face to rewind him back to nothingness. John Wick said, Jesus, he turned them into Namus. All For One said, I would be impressed by this, but they are trying to kill us. Joker then pulled out a gun, which he said, I made a quirky racing bullet, but I don't know who to use it on. Harley was then killed by everyone, which Joker shot All for One in the head. They watched as All for One died in front of them, which the Joker laughed, I did. I killed the symbol of evil and peace. Tomorrow went up to All for One's body crying for him. Joker smiled, what is this, a funeral? The rest of the League cried for Harley because they had no choice but to kill her. Deku said, stop. You have one chance to surrender. Joker pulled out a remote which the Anarchist said, fuck. He has this place ready to blow. Joker smiled, Eerie. Kill them. Eerie giggled as she started using multiple quirks. But Deku said, Eerie. The Anarchist said, you don't have to do this, Eerie, you can live a happy life. The Izuku were trying to convince Eerie, which then Eerie giggled, louder until she grabbed Joker, which he yelled, what are you doing? Eerie then had one of her arms into a blade to stab Joker repeatedly and laughing. After she finished with Joker, she dropped him, which Joker chuckled, I see you are also taking a stab at comedy, Eerie. A dying performance. Bravo. I get to die with the last laugh. Joker laughed and fell into one of his containers full of chemicals, which everyone was shocked by what just happened. Then Eerie laughed. She laughed long and hard, but then she started crying, which the Izukus came to her to comfort her as she cried. Everyone looked at her in sadness because of what Joker did to her. Bakugo looked at Joker's dying body to whisper, I'm sorry. The Izuku headed back to their base of operations to get it ready to explode, because they were not sharing their technology with the universes where they are a monster. Bakugo said, thank you for saving everyone. Even if this isn't your dimension. I would like to say thank you. They nodded. Then the Anarchist asked, I wish we can help Eerie more here, but Eraserhead is a better choice as her new father. Bakugo asked, I wish I could have done things differently. Maybe he wouldn't have turned out like this and Aunt Enko wouldn't have died. Maybe me and Izuku could have been friends. The Izuku flinched. Then Bakugo called Joker by his name instead of Deku, which Deku put his hand on Bakugo to say, be a hero. That's what he would have wanted you to be, but be the hero that saved people, with a smile on his face. Bakugo smiled, I will. He walked off and the Anarchist asked, how does everyone like their tattoos? The Punisher said, you are a good tattoo artist, you should retire from villainy and be a tattoo artist. Firenze said, strongly agree with Punisher. Deku looked at his tattoo on his arm with the words, Fratramisti, which he smiled, and the Anarchist said, we should do this more often and get other versions of us on this. They all agreed, and they turned away from the warehouse which had exploded. Deku said, cool guys, don't look at explosions. They all chuckled from the statement, which the Anarchist said, okay, time to get everyone home. Chapter 38 The Battle of Deku. The Anarchist and Deku are going to have their fight, which the Anarchist is glad by that he helped out his hero version with his power. The Anarchist is going to bring someone as commentator for the match. Who will it be? Will Deku get more tattoos and how his friends react to them? Let's do it. The Anarchist smiled, you have done so much, I'm excited for the match. Deku smirked, I would like to thank you for your assistance. The Anarchist asked, you want another tattoo before our fight? Deku said, I would like this tattoo to read Plus Ultra. But I don't know in which font though. The Anarchist said, I know, it will be an Old English font. Imagine it for a second. Deku liked the idea, which they went to the art classroom, which the Anarchist drew a sketch of the project. Deku said, do it. The Anarchist started working on it for a while, then Kirishima came in to say, Izuku, where? Kirishima saw Deku's complete tattoo on his chest, reading Plus Ultra. In Old English font, which Kirishima teared up, so manly. Deku said, Punisher is right, you need to become a tattoo artist instead of being a villain. The Anarchist said, this is a fun hobby, so is being a villain. I can do both, but maybe change to be an anti-hero, and maybe open up a tattoo parlor as well. Kirishima asked, can I get a tattoo? The Anarchist smirked. What you want? Midnight came into her art room to see Deku shirtless with his tattoos, the anarchist shirtless revealing his tattoos, and Kirishima almost done with his tattoo. Midnight's nose bled like crazy from this wish. She said, "I must be in a beautiful dream." The anarchist smirked, "Lucky for you, this is reality." Kirishima got his tattoo, which was a red dragon on his back, which the anarchist said, "Now that is manly." Kirishima teared up, "I feel 10 times manlier than before." Midnight was enjoying watch them with their tattoos, which the anarchist looked at them to say, "This has to be my finest work here." Uraraka, Asui, Mina, Jiro, and Momo came in to see what was going on, which they had nosebleeds from the 3 men being shirtless and their exposed tattoos. Deku asked, "Uraraka, you okay?" Uraraka stuttered, "Why yes, I'm fine." The anarchist chuckled, "You are going to have a blast." The anarchist got up to say, "I'm going to bring a commentator for our match, give me a moment to get him." The anarchist left the room with his shirt on, which he thought, "You're welcome, Deku." 15 minutes later, Deku and his friends were sitting at Gymgama to see who the anarchist is bringing, which they saw the portal open. The anarchist came out with a teen in a red spandex suit with guns and katanas, which the anarchist said, "Then Eri killed Joker, that is what you missed, Deadpool." Deadpool said, "Well, fuck nuggets, I can't believe I missed it." The anarchist said, "Okay Deadpool, you can stand over there where the mic is at and you can start the match." Deadpool got to the mic to say, "Let's get ready to rumble." Everyone looked at Deadpool, which he said, "On this corner we have quirkless villain, that has beaten All Might, time traveled, dimensional traveled, and is one of the best fighters in his dimension. The anarchist." The Deadpool looked at Deku, "On this side, we have the hero, a good friend, All Might's successor, and a future symbol of peace. Deku." Everyone cheered for Deku, but there were some people cheering for the anarchist because he needs so as well. The anarchist took over his armor to say, "I like you, Deku. You will get an even fight." Deku smirked, "How is taking off your armor giving you an even fight?" The anarchist appeared in front of Deku, which Deku got on the defense. The anarchist said, "I gave up my defense in exchange for power and speed, which we will now have a fight." Deku punched the anarchist with 25% of offense, which the anarchist still had his gloves on, so he caught the punch. Deku chuckled, "You kept the gloves but not the armor, so you can catch my punches and kicks." The anarchist smiled, "Good, you are getting the picture. Now show me more power." Izuku put 30% into his right leg, which the anarchist took, at which he smiled, "You got to try harder." The anarchist threw him, but Deku used Black Whip to grab him to throw him around. The anarchist laughed, "Now this is a fight." The anarchist pulled out a taser to taste the whip to taste Deku to let him go. The anarchist got up to say, "That was a funny ride." Deadpool said, "We are going to need to look at the rules again." "Oh. Just the one rule, okay." The anarchist started to rush punch Deku in the chest to get an easy win, but Deku put 35% of a fat to his leg to kick his dick, which the anarchist crawled away, which Deadpool said, "Ouch." Right in the no-no spot. The anarchist grabbed a stim pack to fix his problem, which he got up to say, "Sneaky and dirty. I like it." Deku charged at him, which he threw some sand in his eyes. Sand attack. Deadpool said, "Very dry moves from the anarchist." The anarchist said, "Sorry." Deku switched to use his ears to fight blind, which he got some hits on the anarchist. The anarchist jumped in the air to drop kick Deku. Deku got the sand out of his eyes and caught the anarchist foot. Deku then threw him to the ground to punch his face. He punched him incredibly hard. Deku walked back thinking he accidentally killed him, but the anarchist pulled out another stim pack to heal himself again. The anarchist said, "I lost, good job. We both got to experience new meaning of kicking your own ass and getting your ass kicked by yourself." Deadpool said, "I got to see myself kick my ass on the sidelines." "But anarchist, why don't you use?" The anarchist covered his mouth to say, "Don't you dare." Everyone looked at the anarchist and Deadpool, which Deadpool nodded. So the anarchist removed his hand. Deadpool said, "Okay, send me home and we will talk about this brotherhood stuff later." The anarchist got Deadpool back, then he looked at Deku to say, "I'm coming back on vacation days and whatnot. Remember, if you want a tattoo, call me, I can get you a real good one." Deku chuckled, "You aren't a bad guy." The anarchist chuckled, "No, I'm not." The anarchist gave him a stim pack and said, "Research that, you might find it very useful." The anarchist then warped back to his dimension, leaving Deku to have fun with his friends. The anarchist dimension. Izuku went to his office to say, "Well, that was one hell of a month, let's see what I should do with my dimension." Izuku pulled out a picture of him and Deku smiling while he was teaching him about how to get a woman. Izuku put the picture in his drawer, then looked at his computer to say, "Well, I guess I'll wait for vacation or the Brotherhood to reassemble." Izuku sat down, which Dabi came in to ask, "I have a question." Izuku said, "Yes, Dabi." Dabi asked, "Do you know why the League, Overhaul, and the weed shop haven't been getting electric bills?" Izuku pointed at his head to say, "You can't get electric bills if you own the electric company. Tell everyone that as long as I own the electric company, they won't get a single electric bill." Dabi smirked, "You are our hero, because of this." Izuku chuckled, "I'm no hero. I just like the simple life." Dabi left, which a grunt came into the office, which Izuku got the mail from the grunt. Izuku paid each bill, then looked at the one from the Bank of Japan, which Izuku said, "I have to pay this one, I'm not going down for not paying this one." Izuku looked at his schedule, which was extremely free, which he called up Dabi. "Hey, want to go to Vegas or the Bahamas?" Dabi said, "We vote for Vegas." Izuku said, "Prepare the party. We are going to Vegas tomorrow and it's going to be a 3-day stay." Izuku then went home. "Hey Melissa, Kyoka, Mai, and Toga?" Izuku saw Toga with the other girls, which Melissa said, "Hey Izuku, you look surprised." Izuku said, "Well, I don't remember telling Toga where I live, but I shouldn't be surprised by it now." "Well, I got great news." Kyoka asked, "What's the good news?" Izuku said, "I'm extremely free for the next 3 days, so we are going on vacation." The girls were smiling from this, which Melissa asked, "Where are we going?" Izuku smiled, "To one of my vacation homes. This one is in Las Vegas, USA." The girls' jaws dropped, which Mai asked, "Las Vegas?" Izuku said, "Yep." Toga asked, "One of your vacation homes, how many do you have?" Izuku chuckled, "One in Vegas, one in the Bahamas, one in England, and one in Italy. But, the one in England is under an exorcism at the moment, so we are not going there anytime soon." Kyoka asked, "What?" Izuku chuckled, "It's a long story, trust me on this one." Toga said, "I would actually love to hear it." Melissa and Mai nodded, which Izuku sighed, "Okay, but I warned you all. A few months ago, in England, Izuku, Atsuhiro, and Dabi entered a house which the real estate agent said, 'This is a house built back before the war.'" Izuku asked, "Sorry to interrupt, but which war?" The real estate agent said, "Before World War I." The guys looked at it, which they admitted was in great shape. The agent continued, "It is a house for up to 8 people to live in, it comes with everything, and it's on 30 acres. The price is at $7,600,000, roughly $10 million. Izuku looked at him, "Isn't that a little below average price?" The agent said, "Well, you see, the house is supposedly haunted and there has been a history of previous owners committing suicide here." Dabi, Izuku, and Atsuhiro laughed their asses off, which Izuku said, "We will buy this house and we will stay here for 3 days to prove that this house isn't haunted." After a few papers signed and everything, the three looked at the house for a little bit. The Atsuhiro saw something. "Guys, look at that window." They looked at where he was pointing at, which they saw a black-haired girl looking at them, then walking away. Dabi said, "We are going to need some holy water, crosses, salt, and a Bible for each of us." Izuku said, "Okay, I'm not backing down from my word." But we are going to live in that house for 3 days, like I told the agent. So, we need the supplies to survive this. They came back to the home with sleeping bag, food, water, flashlights, batteries, clothes, crosses made of iron, gloves, holy water, salt, and Bibles. Dabi asked, "Don't we have to be priests to do exorcisms?" Izuku said, "Dabi, I'm not trusting child rapists to save me from ghosts and demons. You produce blue flames which is considered holy flames." Atsuhiro said, "Out of everything I can see us doing together, I never thought I would be in a haunted house with you two." Izuku said, "Let's go in and sleep next to the fireplace." The got set up in the living room with a huge fireplace which they put some wood in it and Dabi started the fire. Izuku poured the salt to surround their sleeping spot and Atsuhiro checked the supplies to say, "Everything is safe." Izuku smiled, "I'm going to the restroom." Izuku grabbed a cross and some salt to then head to the restroom. After he went, he saw a shadow move. Izuku turned on the flashlight to see a nun standing there which he threw salt at her and hailed ass from the nun. The nun screamed in pain which Izuku came back to the guys which Dabi asked, "What was that?" Izuku said, "There is a nun roaming around the place and I threw salt at her." Atsuhiro clapped to say, "Good job. You pissed her off." Then they heard a bike ring and they saw a doll on a little tricycle roll across the hall which Dabi set it on fire. Izuku pulled out a fire extinguisher to put out the fire, then he picked the doll to throw it in the fireplace. Izuku said, "Dabi, next time get the doll to the fireplace, I don't want to burn this house to the ground." Later the second night, it was Atsuhiro's shift to be on watch. Why he got up to stretch and he turned to see a doll with a damaged eye on a chair. Atsuhiro sighed, "Another doll." He went over to it to pick it up and he heard a child's laughter. He quickly got back to the salt line then threw the doll into the fire. He sat down to then read a book Dabi picked up in the house. Atsuhiro chuckled, "British nursery rhymes. This should be fun." The first one page was about the crooked man. After a while he heard the door ring. Izuku and Dabi woke up which Izuku said, "Okay, we are all going to the bell. Separating is the worst decision we can possibly do." They got up to the door to see who was there, but they heard the back door ringing. Dabi asked, who could possibly be entering from the back door? They walked over to the back door to see something sitting down looking away from them. Atsuhiro walked over to see its face, but the thing got up to his legs which revealed the thing was taller than the three of them. The thing said, "There was a crooked man. He walked the crooked miles." Izuku, Dabi, and Atsuhiro ran like hell to get back to the safe spot which the crooked man followed them. Atsuhiro said, "I knew shouldn't be reading books in this house." They got back which the crooked man kept monologuing which they picked up their crosses and Dabi asked, "You think these will work?" Izuku chuckled, "Hopefully." The crooked man looked at them then turned into the nun Izuku saw on the first day. Izuku said, "Oh shit, it's that bitch." The nun screamed putting out the fire in the fireplace behind them, which the three laughed at her. The nun looked confused which Dabi restarted the fire with his quirk which she freaked out which led the guys to realize the theory of Dabi's blue flames are holy flames. Izuku said, "That's right bitch. We have someone who can produce one of your weaknesses." The guys started chasing her after her with Dabi's blue flames, crosses, and salt, which they surrounded her in the kitchen. Izuku said, "I hate this kitchen. Burn her up and we will salt this bitch." Dabi nodded and set the nun on fire while Izuku and Atsuhiro threw salt at her, which they turned into black smoke and vanished. Dabi asked, "You think we cured this house?" Izuku said, "No." Atsuhiro asked, "What makes you think we didn't?" Izuku said, "This is one of the three spirits here." Dabi and Atsuhiro, in shock, "What do you mean there are two other spirits?" Izuku pointed and the other two turned to see the little girl from the window on the first day and a red-faced demon-looking monster. The three ran back to the safe zone to escape the two other spirits that were in the house. When they got back to the safe zone, they put down some extra salt which Dabi said, You have some interesting taste in houses, Izuku. But next time if the house is haunted, don't buy it without getting a couple of priests to exorcise it. Izuku said, one more night. Just one more night, then we will get the hell out of here. Then I'm calling an archbishop to do this. Atuzero asked, you have that much connection? Izuku said, no, the Catholic Church loves money more than what people know. I will show them the place, then they will see how bad it is and they will fix it. They sat down and laughed for a little bit. Dabi asked, so, what do you think that red-faced demon thing was? Izuku and Atsuhiro said, an actual demon. Dabi said, guys, I can produce holy flames. Meaning they will take me out first. Izuku said, well, we are going to protect you, so you can protect us. Atsuhiro revealed his new iron playing cards to say, I hope these things work for these beings. Izuku noticed they had crosses on the back, which Izuku said, put them in the jar of holy water just for a little bit to just be sure. They pulled out their only supply of holy water, which they put the iron cards in it. They sat back to back wondering what will happen next. A TV in the room turned on, which they saw the girl exit from the TV, which Atsuhiro threw one of his cards at her. The card went through her head and she turned into black smoke, and they relaxed for a little bit. Izuku said, just one more. Dabi asked, how do we know that there isn't more besides the three we know? Izuku and Atsuhiro had wide eyes, which Izuku said, this house is too beautiful to burn down, so we are going to kill the beings one at a time. It was the final day, which the three were prepared for the red-faced demon. They had a plan to fight it and hopefully kill it. Izuku memorized the lines to say to kill it, Atsuhiro had his cards, and Dabi was ready to burn its ass back to hell. They left the safe spot, but they walked really close together. Izuku put on his iron brass knuckles, which he never thought he would be using them for this. They continued walking until Atsuhiro asked, guys, who is watching to see if he could attack us from above? They stopped and they looked up where the demon jumped down to attack them. The demon kicked Dabi to a grandfather clock. Atsuhiro got hit by its tail to be sent to the wall, and Izuku got in his boxer position to punch its face. Izuku said, you want to dance, motherfucker? Then let's dance. The demon clawed and tried to stab Izuku with its tail. Izuku dodged and weaved the attacks. Izuku then would jab and punch its face. Izuku looked to see an axe nearby. He grabbed the axe to chop off the tail. The demon screamed in pain. Izuku punched its face and got on top of it to give it a beat down. Izuku said, not so tough now without your tail. After the beatdown, Dabi and Atsuhiro got up, which the three picked up the demon and brought it to the fireplace to burn its ass back to hell. They relaxed. Then the next morning the agent came by. Izuku smiled, see? Not haunted. The agent smiled, well, the hauntings are just local myths then. The guys got out of the house and ready to leave, which they looked back at it to admire the place. Then Izuku saw a clown holding a red balloon in the house. Dabi and Atsuhiro saw him too. Izuku sighed, time to call the Vatican. Present, Izuku said, that's the story. The girls looked at him, which Melissa said, as ridiculous as the story was, I will believe it. Izuku in shock, what? Kyoka said, you're not the guy who would lie to us, so we believe in you. Izuku relaxed, then said, I'm glad you believe me. But let's focus on our vacation to Vegas. Chapter 39, Vegas Vacation Part 1. Izuku, his girlfriends, Dabi, Iguchi, Jin, and Atsuhiro are going to Vegas for their vacation, which they are going to enjoy. What will Dabi, Iguchi, Jin, and Atsuhiro do while Izuku is doing his relaxing with the girls? Will the four have something like The Hangover? How relaxed will Izuku be on his vacation? Let's find out. The party of 9 arrived at Izuku's vacation house in Vegas, which Izuku said, I always ask myself, why do I have to leave this place? The house was big and the inside was beautiful, which the girls went to master bedroom. Izuku looked at the guys and said, okay, I'm going to give you 4 some gambling money you can use. But don't spend too much for tonight. Dabi asked, you aren't coming? Izuku said, I'm going to relax for tonight and maybe tomorrow, but I will get involved soon. But for now, have fun. Izuku gave them each a card, which the cards were bank accounts with money. Jin said, I'm going to blow this money like nothing. Atsuhiro said, I'm going to the Vegas magic show to learn some new tricks and show off some of mine. Higashi said, I'm going to play blackjack. Dabi smirked, same. Izuku went to a drawer and said, please be there. He opened the drawer to find a bottle of drugs, which Dabi asked, what that for? Izuku smirked, I'm going to need energy to last longer, if you catch my drift. Dabi nodded and the four left, which Izuku chuckled before taking one and headed to the bedroom. The four horsemen were now at the middle of Vegas, which they headed to different areas of Vegas. Dabi and Higashi went to play blackjack, which they looked at the guy they are playing with. Dabi asked, hey, you look familiar. Have I seen you somewhere before? The man said, you might have, but right now you are going to feel the thunder in this game. Higashi grabbed Dabi to whisper, it's Jack Black. We are playing blackjack with Jack Black. Dabi looked at the man and realized they were playing blackjack with Jack Black, which Dabi said, please forgive me, Mr. Black. I didn't realize who you were until now. I hope we have a good game. Jack chuckled, I hope for a good game as well. After a while Jack beat them in the game, which, Higashi said, it was an honor playing with you. Dabi chuckled, you know how to play a great game. Jack said, well gentlemen, you want to have a drink with me? They nodded and followed Jack Black to get some drinks. They started off the first day with meeting Jack Black. Jin was walking around until he saw a pawn shop with the sign read, gold and silver pawn. Jin went inside to see what they had, which he saw beautiful art to old guns. A bald guy with some facial hair to make beard. Jin looked at the car outside the shop, which was a black 1962 Lincoln Continental for sale, which Jin asked, how much for the car? The man said, well, how about $32,000? Jin smiled, $25,000. The man said, $31,000. Jin chuckled, $27,000. The man sighed, $30,000. Jin looked at him, $29,000. The man said, I can't go lower. Jin chuckled, you sure? They looked at each other for a little bit, which the man said, $29,000. They shook hands, which Jin thought, sucker. I could have bought it for $32,000, but I wanted some fun. Jin got the car and decided to drive around town in it for a while to see what everyone was doing. Jin drove around until he saw Atsuhiro watching a few magicians, doing some stuff that could kill them. Atsuhiro asked, how is this magic? It's a guy in a glass box suffering the hot weather. I don't see the magic? He turned to see Jin in his new car and jumped into, then drive off. Atsuhiro said, Jin, you have an excellent taste in cars. Just hide it from Izuku so he doesn't attempt to buy from you. Jin said, what? I was going to show it off just to see what Izuku would offer for this. Izuku went to get some water, which he was thirsty as hell from his 5 hours of relaxing. He got a phone call. Hello. The person on the other side said, Mr. Madrya, this is Archbishop Patrick. We are here to tell you that we are no longer going to exorcise your vacation home in England. Izuku asked, why? Patrick said, because after sending 30 men, only one came back. He stated that the house is sitting on the gate of hell, which requires the blood of Christ to close it. Izuku asked, are you kidding me? Patrick said, nope. Izuku sighed, okay. I guess I'll go on a personal treasure hunt for the blood of Christ. Izuku hung up the phone, thought, I will find a solution for this. Wait, Izuku. He looked at the multiple versions of himself until he came across Izuku Constantine, which he put him in favorites so he can communicate with him later after his vacation. Izuku looked that he drank an entire gallon of water, which he chuckled, round 2, here I come. Dabi, Jin, Atsuhiro, Higashi, and Jack Black. The guys were in Jin's car driving this trip, which Jack said, Oh boy. We are truly driving around like legends. Dabi said, where are we going to? Caesar's palace. They parked in a parking spot and got inside to gamble and drink for a while. Dabi, Jack, and Iguchi were owning the tables, which Dabi at his table said, sorry fellas. You aren't going to win this one. Dabi revealed a royal flush, which the people at his table were surprised. Dabi smirked and gave $50,000 chip to the dealer. One of the men spoke, you play a good game, you here on vacation? Dabi said, yeah, invited by a friend who owns a vacation house here. The dealer asked, can I ask who this friend is? Dabi chuckled, is Yuku Madraya, the anarchist. The men, the dealer, and the people on tables surround them stopped what they were doing to look at Dabi. Dabi sighed, what did he do here? The dealer said, the owner, the police, commissioner, and the mayor are not happy with him because of last time. Dabi asked, what happened last time? One of the men said, he threw the biggest and wildest party in existence. People in the streets celebrated as well. They had to use the entire police force to break it apart and a lot of people got hurt. A woman said, this hotel was where it started, but it expanded to the streets, and it is rumored that he banged not only the owner's daughter, but also the police commissioner's twin daughters and the mayor's daughter. Dabi, Iguchi, Jin, and Atsuhiro face-palmed from this, which Jin said, he didn't poke the bear. He did something worse to the bear. Iguchi said, he didn't piss off the bear, he pissed on the bear. That bear is going to be pissed when they realizes Yuku is in town. The dealer said, that was a party this city will never forget. I'm sure Al Capone would be proud of. I remember the orgy I got into from it. Dabi said, I didn't need to hear that. The bartender said, the town ran out of alcohol for a week, jail cells were flooded, and a lot of people got STDs from it. A man yelled, that party made me want to become a better man. A woman said, that party prevented me from ending it all. A waiter said, that party helped me found my fiancé, I don't regret it. A man came out of the elevator to shout, who mentioned that bastard who banged my daughter. The 5 guys ran like hell to the car. Jin said, what the hell was Yuku thinking at the time? I mean, he threw the great Las Vegas party and riot. Jack said, I always wanted to meet the man himself. I assume you were going to his place. Iguchi said, of course we are, we have some words for him. Atsuhiro said, just when I was going to enjoy some fun, we get some out of control madness Yuku created. Dabi sighed, we have to tell Yuku what happened, and he probably has something prepared for this. Yuku's vacation house. Yuku came back downstairs for a drink of water. He has spent the past 4 hours relaxing. Then he looked at his food storage. Then he heard the guys coming in, which he said, hey guys. Dabi shouted, you threw the biggest party in this city's history. Yuku looked at him, yeah. So? Iguchi asked, how can you fuck the bear like that? Yuku said, that was a time when I was with Joe and we got extremely fucked up on some drugs. They looked at him and Dabi asked, who's Chow? Yuku smiled, he is my Chinese business partner who helped me with that same wicked party. Which he also called me. He was in town about 3 days ago. He is still in town, so I might make another party like the previous. Jin said, oh no. We are going to have a normal vacation. We don't need any more craziness than this. Iguchi nodded and Yuku said, okay, Penn and Teller are also coming here. Atsuhiro's jaw dropped, you mean the Penn and Teller? When are they coming? Yuku said, in 3 hours, I'm about to take a shower in a little bit because I smell. They then smelled and realized he smells like sex, which they backed up from him. Yuku laughed and went back upstairs to take a shower. Jack said, I like him. He has personality and a nice guy. Dabi said, he can be a handful at times. The guy went to the couch to find Yuku's PS7, which they decided to play for a while. They heard a doorbell, which Dabi got up to answer it, which they opened it to reveal 2 guys. Dabi asked, can I help you? The first man asked, is Yuku here? Atsuhiro came and said, "Yes, he is, come on in." The second man said, "Thank you." "Oh. Where's my manners? I'm Pen." The other guy said, "I'm Teller." Pen and Teller came into living room which Izuku was still getting ready. Izuku's girlfriends and the guys were in the living room talking and having a great time. Then Izuku came out in a green tuxedo which he went to the door to find a short Chinese man which Izuku smiled. "Ciao." "Ciao," said Izuku. Chapter 40, Vegas Vacation Part 2 and Others. Izuku, the guys, Jack Black, Pen, Teller, and Chow are going to have one crazy acid trip, which they will not remember a since thing from it. What will they do? Will they get arrested? Will this cause them to relocate their vacation? Let's find out. The girls went upstairs to get some rest which Chow said, "I got the stuff." Izuku rubbed his hands. "Oh boy Chow, you got the good stuff?" Dabi asked, "What stuff?" Chow smiled, "The best shit." Chow pulled out acid for everyone which everyone took it, which Izuku said, "Oh ooh, I can feel it." Everyone laid back which Izuku looked at Dabi to ask, "What color are your flames again?" Dabi made a small flame on his hand which everyone saw a different color, but in Izuku's eyes it was the entire rainbow. Jin asked, "Guys, do you hear that?" Jack said, "I hear Santa." "No, I hear Po the Kung Fu Panda." Teller gazed around the room, "I hear the panda as well. But where is it coming from?" Pen said, "I can hear my wife and kids. Quick, everybody hide somewhere." Everyone hid in different part of the room, which Izuku said, "I can hear CIA and heroes. They found me, let's get out of here." Everyone somehow fit in the car. Chow and Jin got in the trunk of the car while Dabi, Iguchi, Pen, Jack, and Teller got in the back of the car. Izuku and Atsuhiro were in the front seats, which they drove away from the house to go into town. Atsuhiro asked, "Wait. Are we supposed to be driving?" Izuku said, "We're fine, we just have to obey the green stop signs, blue stop lights, white go lights, and other stuff." Dabi said, "I'm real sure it's blue stop signs, green stop lights, and yellow go lights." Izuku said, "Well." Pen asked, "Holy shit, how did you do that?" Teller said, "Easy." Jack said. Izuku said, "Damn Jack, you should have said that in Kung Fu Panda 4. Jack said, "I know I should have, it would have been funny as hell." They drove around until they found the Ultra Lux, New Vegas reference? Which Izuku chuckled, "They can't find us here." Izuku and the guys were tripping themselves as they got in, which they got checked in. They got their room, which Jin asked, "What should we eat?" Izuku looked at the menu. "I like this steak they are offering." Izuku picked up the phone to get everyone's order, which they got them in a couple of minutes. The waiter wore a real fine suit and a white mask, which after eating some of the food, Atsuhiro asked, "Hey, why is there a ring in my food?" Everyone looked at his food, which had a wedding ring in the meat. Chow said, "I think I gave everyone the good trip, but bad hallucinations." Izuku chuckled, "I hope it's the hallucinations." The door opened, which the waiter said, "Did you gentlemen found a ring in your food? If you did, we will take it back and give you another round of food to make up for it." They gave it back, which Iguchi asked, "Why was the ring in the food?" The waiter smiled, "One of our chefs dropped it in the food, we humbly apologize for this." The waiter left, which Izuku said, "That guy is lying. You want to see what is really going on here?" Before anyone answered, Izuku's phone rang, which he picked it up. "Hello?" A voice said, "Meet us in the desert in 2 hours." Izuku confused, "What?" The voice said, "Don't fuck with me, Chow." Izuku gave the phone to Chow, which Chow realized he had Izuku's phone, which Chow talked to the voice. Which Chow hung up to say, "We need to find Doug." Izuku said, "Who's Doug?" Chow said, "Exactly. Even I don't know who Doug is. We got to find a Doug, so I get my $80,000. Dabi said, "We will help you find a Doug, we just need to go around town to find one." Pen said, We all can't find in the car, especially with a Doug in it. Atsuhiro said, okay, we split up. Izuku and Dabi go with Chao while we investigate this place. Higashi smiled, I love it. They split up into two groups, which is Izuku, Dabi, and Chao went to find Doug, or a Doug. They drove around looking at people, which Chao pointed at a man and said, that's Doug. Dabi surrounded Doug with flames and Izuku jumped out of the car to knock him out. They then zip-tied him and put a bag over his head, then they drove to the desert for a trade. Which Dabi asked, I wonder how the guys are doing. The second group. The guys stood in their place when they saw that the food was made from people and that the staff of the hotel are cannibals. Which Jin said, let's get the fuck out of here. They agreed, but they saw their waiter and he said, I'm sorry gentlemen, but we can't let you go. Atsuhiro said, apologies for what comes next. Atsuhiro threw his razor plane card to instantly kill the waiter, which then they were under attack by the staff. Higachi took their gun and knives to kill the enemies. Jin took 2 guns and shot up the place like a madman. Atsuhiro was throwing cards with grace, which Pen and Teller were praising each accurate throw. Jack was surrounded by some staff, which he pulled some kung fu to take them out, which Higachi asked, you actually know kung fu? Jack said, I didn't know I knew kung fu. They fought even more staff, until some people who stayed at the hotel came to help the staff, which Pen said, we are heavily outnumbered, we need to do something. Atsuhiro remembered a special gift from Izuku, which he pulled out 10 marbles to throw them at the enemies. The marbles turned into namas, which they started wreaking havoc on the enemies. They ran out of the building to get away from the cannibals, which they ran a good distance from the hotel. They were going to call Izuku when they believed they were safe. Izuku, Dabi, and Chao. The 3 in their car looked at the car in front of them in the desert, which the car finally flashed its lights. They got out the car, leaving Doug in the car, which the other car had 3 men coming out, and the fat guy fell out of the car. Chao and Izuku laughed, which Chao said, that's funny, fat guy falling. One of the men said, okay, we got the money. $80,000 in cash. Chao said, throw it over and I hand you Doug. The man with the glasses said, well, first of all, good morning, and we would like to see Doug. To see if he is okay, and we didn't catch your name. Chao said, Mr. Chao. Leslie Chao. Chao nodded and Dabi pulled Doug out of the car, which the 3 guys believe he was alright. Chao said, see he fine, now hand me the money or I kill all you motherfucker, and I still take the money. Izuku showed his gun and Dabi revealed his flames, which the 3 threw the bag of money at Izuku so Izuku can count it. Izuku nodded to Chao that they got the money, which Dabi threw Doug at the men. They took off the mask to reveal Doug, but the taller guy asked, is this a joke? The man with the glasses said, that is not Doug. Chao said, what are you talking about, that is Doug. The fat guy said, the Doug we are looking for is a white. Izuku pulled the tape off Doug's mouth, which Doug said, I told you, you have the wrong Doug. Doug looked at the fat guy, damn Alan, what did you get me into? The tall guy asked, you know him? Alan said, yeah, he is the one who sold me the bad drugs. Doug said, I didn't sell you no bad drugs. Izuku leaned over to Chao to say, this is funny as hell. The glass guy asked, wait, he is the one who gave you the rohypnol? Doug asked, I sold what? The tall guy pissed, who gives a shit, where's Doug? Doug said, I am Doug. Alan asked, wait, your name is Doug? Doug said, yes. Alan said, classic name mix-up. Dabi, Izuku, and Chao walked back to the car, which the tall guys yelled, hey, where are you going? Chao said, we gave you Doug, now we are done. He said, you gave us the wrong Doug. Izuku said, not our problem. They got in the car and drove off, which the 3 laughed their asses off. Izuku got a call from the guys to come pick them up. They drove around until they found them, which Jin said, the hotel was full of cannibals. Dabi said, we ate humans. Izuku smirked, technically me and Higachi are not humans in this society, so it's okay for us. Igachi chuckled a bit from that while everyone gave him a look, which Izuku said, in all seriousness, I didn't expect that of all things. Atsuhiro said, I released 10 namas to destroy the place and the acid is about to wear off. They drove to the hotel to pick the namas up and haul ass out of Vegas and relocate the vacation to somewhere else. They got back to the vacation house to let the acid's effects wear off but left a note for them to relocate vacation to the Bahamas. After 3 hours, they woke up sober, which Melissa asked, how are you guys doing? Izuku smiled, we are fine. Just a little tired. The guys got up, which Jack, Pen, Teller, and Chow were warped home, while the guys and Izuku's girls were warped to the Bahamas to escape the law for a little bit. They spend the last day at the beach and getting some sun. The next day they returned to Japan, which they had a blast on their vacation, which Izuku went to his office to get Izuku Constantine. After some warping, he found Constantine, which he asked, so, what is your business? Izuku said, I need your help to close the gate of hell in my vacation house in England. I will pay you a shit ton of money. Constantine smirked, sounds tempting, but I need a little more. Izuku took him to a storage build full of artifacts and said, you can also have 5 things in here. Constantine looked around and saw a crown made of thorns, which Constantine asked, why do you have the crown of thorns in here? Izuku shrugged, what? Constantine picked it up, do you know what this is? Izuku shrugged, hell if I know, I thought it looked cool, so I took it. Constantine said, this is the crown of thorns as in Jesus Christ wore it during his crucifixion. Izuku said, that's neat, well that's one item. Constantine picked up Joan of Arc's sword, the sandals of Christ, the ring of dispel, then he saw a little bag with a stone in it. Izuku said, that is the philosopher's stone you are looking at. You can have it if you want. Constantine smirked, well I'm adding it to the chart. Izuku picked up a hammer to throw it around it up in the air and catch it, which Constantine looked at the hammer closely and asked, is that the Mjolnir? Izuku asked, oh what now? Constantine said, Thor's hammer. Izuku asked, is that why the people in a Norwegian town where I found this at started worshipping me as soon as I picked up this hammer? Izuku shrugged and put the hammer somewhere else, which Constantine said, you need to know what you have here. Izuku said, I'm just a collector of things that I find cool and interesting. Izuku then showed Constantine his vacation house in England, which they saw a clown with a red balloon, a creature that was almost human but had wings and head of an owl, and many other things in the house. Izuku asked, are you sure you can handle this? Constantine chuckled, this will be easy. Izuku left him to do his job and went back to his office to say, according to his Yelp reviews, he gets the job done. But I need to research the items in my artifact warehouse to see what I have. Izuku went to the warehouse to see what he had. After a few hours he learned that he had a wide variety of things from Christianity to ancient religions. He declared his most valuable item was the Holy Grail, which he thought it was just a regular cup he picked up from his armed dealings in Syria and Iraq. He was surprised Constantine didn't take it, maybe because it was in the very far back of the warehouse and they didn't even get quarter of the way there. Izuku wasn't a hoarder, but a collector of objects that catches his eyes. He then upgraded the security on the warehouse to keep the stuff more protected because he didn't realize until now he was protecting many legendary objects. Izuku went back to his office with the Holy Grail and put it next to the book and vampire mask, then said, well, that vacation has definitely made me recharged and more focused than I usually am. I can't wait for my next vacation, but let's see what's next. Chapter 41, Happy Accidents. Izuku was having a normal morning until he watches the news, which someone who doesn't belong in his world accidentally appears. Let's go. Izuku sitting on the couch with his girlfriends watching some movies which he was getting interested in them. Izuku enjoys being surrounded by his girlfriends in his blanket naked, which then the channel changed into emergency broadcast. The TV reporter said, breaking news. The S-class villain known as the Anarchist has been caught recently this morning, and today is Wednesday. The girls and Izuku looked at the TV in confusion, which Izuku in shock. I'm right here. The TV showed this other Izuku in a green outfit and tattoos, which Izuku asked, Deku? How the free fuck did you get to my dimension? There are only 2 people in the multiverse with the tech, how? Mai asked. Multiverse? Izuku said, yeah, I have a prototype multiverse traveling device that needs some more work. That is Deku. He is the hero version of me. Melissa asked, how do you know him? Izuku said, I went to visit his dimension, which I gave him those tattoos and helped him control his quirk he got from All Might. The girls look at him in shock. Kyoka asked, what are you going to do? Izuku got up to say, I got to go rescue him and return him home. Also to figure out how he got here. Izuku got dressed and Sensei looked at him to ask, I thought you were captured? Izuku said, no, that is another me from the multiverse which I got to return him home. Inko smiled, you're going to save him like a hero? Izuku said, you can think of it however you want, I'm mostly going to get him out to figure out where he got the multiverse traveling device. Izuku left, which Sensei called up everyone to say, my bad. Don't send the 200 Namu army to attack the police station. Izuku has a plan and weird things are going on. Izuku quickly grabbed a few weapons, sleep gas containers, gas mask, and Drax the high-end to take him there. Izuku landed in front of the police station, which everyone from the police, heroes, and news reporters were confused as there were 2 Izuku Midoriyas. Deku was chained up extremely tight to a dolly and displayed like a trophy. Izuku said, damn it Deku, you can't come to my dimension without my permission. Deku looked at him in happiness, Anarchist, thank God you're here to explain my situation. Izuku said, yeah, this is my dimension. You don't belong here, and I've come to put you back in your dimension where you can go around being a hero. All Might in confusion, okay, what is going on? Deku? Dimensional travel? Hero? I want answers. No, everyone here needs answers. Izuku asked, well let Deku out, promise not to arrest me as I tell everyone here everything. Also, I get to leave to take Deku back to his dimension. Namasa sighed, why can't you be a normal teen? Why does the craziest things you say are true? Why haven't I become bald yet from you? Izuku shrugged, I don't have the answers to those questions, but give us chairs and I will answer the questions I can answer. They went inside the police station to talk about what was going on. Izuku looked at Deku, you okay, Deku? They didn't harm you, did they? I will throw police brutality charges on them. Deku looked at him, what the hell kind of stuff do you pull here that requires them to chain you up like an animal? Izuku said, a lot, but now I must honor the deal and get your ass back to your dimension. Deku said, thanks for helping me get back, I want to get lunch after this first. Izuku said, sure. Namasa, All Might, Eraserhead, the police chief, and a government agent sat down across from them. Namasa sighed, we are going to ask some questions and you are going to answer them honestly. Izuku smirked, I'll answer them honestly, but some questions will not have full answers because I don't even know everything. The government asked, how did you get here Deku? Deku said, I was out interning and then suddenly I was fighting a villain with a quirk that sends people into other dimensions. Then I found myself in an alley and when I asked for help from police officers, they arrested me. Izuku deadpanned, you got arrested by petty police officers, really? Deku asked, why are you looking at me like that? Izuku sighed, I don't get captured by police officers, I get captured by heroes, you are making me look bad. Deku and everyone looked at him like he was crazy. The agent asked, how long have you have the technology to time travel and dimensional travel? Izuku said, time travel. 6 months, dimensional travel. 1.5 months. Namasa sighed because Izuku told nothing but the truth, which Namasa wants to believe he was just a good liar. All Might asked, in your dimension Deku, you're a hero? Deku smiled, yeah, you saw the hero in me. You gave me your quirk and I'm your successor, but you are retired in my dimension and All for One is captured. All Might and Eraserhead looked at him in shock, which the police chief said, wait. So if All Might would have said that you could be a hero, then we wouldn't have. He gestured. Is Yuku? That. Is Yuku offended? What is wrong with this? Without me, suicide rates for the quirkless wouldn't be so low and quirkless rights wouldn't have been made. I created good in my acts of villainy. I'm a hero to some people around the world, you know. Eraserhead asked, so, how do you two know each other so well? Deku said, he came to my dimension for a fight. He trained me, so I don't break my bones from using my quirk. Everyone looked at him like he was joking. All Might asked, why? Izuku sighed, I want to fight that my enemy doesn't hurt themselves more than I can. So, I trained him to have better control over his quirk. Eraserhead smirked, that's incredibly considerate of you. Izuku looked at him, don't push it, old man. The agent said, by the order of the government of Japan, you have to reveal and hand over all your technology. Izuku flipped his middle finger, you can take that order and shove up your ass. Kurogiri's warp gate opened, which Izuku threw Deku and himself through it. Izuku said, another happy warp. Deku said, you could have warned me about this, you know. Izuku said, villainy expects everything at any time, now time to get yourself some food. They stopped at a Katsudon shop, which Deku said, thanks for paying. Izuku chuckled as he grabbed a magazine nearby to read it. Deku looked at the cover to have a picture of Izuku shirtless. The title reads The Anarchist, Sexiest Villain Alive, which Deku laughed. Can I see it? Izuku grabbed another magazine to give to Deku so he can read the article about this while they waited for their food. They then heard Deku. They both turned to see Bakugo, which Bakugo went from pissed to confused as hell. He asked, what the hell is going on? Izuku said, Bakugo, this is Deku. He is me from another dimension where he is a hero. Deku asked, why is he angrier in this dimension? Izuku said, it's probably because Bakugo shouted, he erased my quirk and now I'm quirkless. Izuku said, Jesus Bakugo, I should have turned you into a Namu when I had the chance. Deku looked at him, you made him quirkless? Izuku said, he had it coming. Kirishima appeared to grab Bakugo to say, we are going to eat somewhere else. Bakugo said, fine. They left, which Izuku smirked, he found himself a boyfriend, looks like I won my bet with Tamura. Deku asked, so, who is his one, for all? Izuku said, Shinso Hitoshi. Deku nodded, that sounds good, but I wonder how he got it. Izuku said, that is a mystery, but I'm not wasting my time with that. Deku looked at him, you know exactly how he got it. Izuku chuckled, no I don't, if I did, I would be spreading it and Dad would know. Izuku got up after they ate to say, time to get you to my base of operations to get your ass back home. Deku followed him, which Izuku got word that Kurogiri is busy at the moment. Izuku said, okay, we are going to the base by foot. Izuku pulled out a grappling hook to scale building while Deku used his quirk to scale up the building. Izuku and Deku had a race for a little bit, which Hawks saw them. Izuku said, get down. Deku got down and Izuku threw a stun grenade at Hawks to take him down, which Izuku laughed as he fell. Deku came down to save Hawks and make him land safely to the ground, which Izuku said, damn it Deku, you're making look bad by doing that. Deku said, it's what's right. Izuku said, this is my dimension, so I will do what I goddamn well please. Deku said, I thought you were decent guy, but this is just evil. Izuku said, I'm a villain who is trying to take you back. Hawks is a pain in the ass. All Might crushed my dream and gave Mirio a quirk that killed him. Mirio. Never mind. Deku said, I want to know more about Mirio in this dimension. You got to know my dimension really well. I want to know. Izuku said, no. We are not going to discuss this. You wouldn't understand because you mostly likely abandoned your quirkless roots when All Might gave you his quirk. Deku said, I have not abandoned my roots. I think about the quirkless every day. I want to help them and encourage them when I become a hero just like my All Might. Izuku looked at him to say, I will tell you when I feel more comfortable about the subject. They heard screams which Izuku said, that's my job. Deku looked at him running which he followed. They saw some thugs robbing a group of teenage girls. Izuku said, it's time for my little hobby here. Deku then watched as Izuku just beat the shit out of the thugs, then told the teens, okay, run along now. The girls asked for a picture which he gladly gotten them taken with him, and then they ran off. Izuku said, okay, if we take a right, then left, then 2 rights, and 3 lefts, we will arrive at the back door of my base. Deku said, I take it back, you are still a nice guy. Izuku said, yeah, let's go. They made it the base, which Deku saw the whole operation, from quirky racing factories to namas to guns to weed to everything. Deku asked, how are namas made? Izuku said, it's better if you don't. Izuku grabbed the device to warp them to Deku's dimension, which Deku was glad to get back to his dimension. The heroes in his dimension were interrogating the villain who sent him to Izuku's dimension. Everyone was happy to have Deku back, and Izuku jumped back while Deku was telling everyone about Izuku's dimension and showed the magazine. Izuku got back to read the time, reading 5 o'clock, which he felt exhausted from getting Deku back to his dimension. He went back to his room in his house with a gallon of ice cream for him and his girlfriends to enjoy while they keep watching movies. Chapter 42, Salt and Sugar. Izuku and Bakugo are going to meet again, but Izuku notices a change in Bakugo. Izuku will see what changes Bakugo is having. What will Izuku do about it? Izuku will also do some other stuff to screw with people. Will he pick up another girl or girls? Let's find out. Izuku went out to the streets near I to watch Bakugo suffer being quirkless. But he has been noticing a few changes in him. Bakugo started smiling and making friends. He is becoming a friendlier person to people, not loud and prideful. Izuku was not happy by this. He wanted Bakugo to suffer like he did. He wanted Bakugo to struggle like he did, but a lot worse. He wants Bakugo to beg for death and jump off a building into another life where he will get another quirk. Izuku asked himself, why are you being like this? Why are you being like this after your quirk is erased? Why? Why? The people in the cafe looked at him, which Izuku sighed. Apologies. He saw Bakugo leaving UA with his boyfriend Kirishima, which he decided to follow him. He saw that Bakugo laughing with joy, instead of pride. It was like he was mocking Izuku. Mocking him as in, thanks for erasing my quirk because I now understand your struggle and pain, but he didn't. Izuku then saw Bakugo was alone, which he grabbed his neck to say, one word and you will be paralyzed from the neck down. Bakugo, in anger, what do you want, Deku? Izuku said, I just want a friendly chat. Kaken. Bakugo, in shock that Izuku is calling him by his childhood nickname, agreed to the chat. They sat at a mall bench, which Izuku smiled, what a beautiful day we have here. Don't you agree? Bakugo glared, just tell me why you are here. Izuku chuckled, Kaken, always to the point. I noticed that you are happier and friendly to people. Unlike before. Bakugo chuckled, I would like to apologize for what I did to you. Izuku in anger, what? Bakugo in sadness, I looked down on everyone my whole life because I had a powerful quirk. I was looking down on you the worse. You had no quirk. So I thought of you as nothing more than a waste of life. But I learned after you erased my quirk that you had to work incredibly hard to be as strong as you are now. Izuku's vein popped on his head. He didn't want a goddamn apology from scum like him. Bakugo smiled, that quirk corrupted me and made me a monster. I'm sorry for everything I have done to you. Izuku asked, if I gave you back your quirk, what would be your reaction? Bakugo chuckled, I don't want my quirk back, I would never accept it, and I enjoy my new life. Izuku chuckled, I guess you have no choice. Bakugo, caught off guard by statement, asked, What? Izuku stabbed Bakugo with a syringe and threw Bakugo to the ground. Bakugo got up to ask, "What did you do?" Izuku smiled, "I gave you back your quirk. You are no longer quirkless, Kaken." Bakugo made sparks in his hands and he was terrified, which he said, "No. I don't want this." Izuku laughed, "Too bad, I never thought I would have to give it back to you. But seeing you like this puts a smile on my face." Izuku then got up to walk away from Bakugo, which he was his horror by his return quirk that he now rejects. Izuku smirked, "I can't believe I had to use that on him. I thought he never accept being quirkless or rejecting his quirk. But now I get to see him suffer again." Izuku called his scientists to tell them the new drug that cancels out the quirk erasing drug was successful. He walked around, which he saw a woman falling from a building, which Izuku ran to catch her. Izuku caught the woman to asked, "You okay, miss?" He then noticed he caught Mirko the rabbit hero, which she looked up to ask, "Anarchist?" Izuku said, "Apologies for disturbing you." Izuku put her down, then the villain who pushed her came due to say, "Oh, you survived, Mirko. Well." He looked at Izuku to asked, "Anarchist?" Izuku looked at him, "Salamander?" The villain in fear, "No." Izuku smirked, "You stole one of my crates, Salamander, and someone has to pay. And it isn't me." Salamander ran like hell, which Izuku asked, "Mirko, take a step back." Mirko did what he asked, which threw a ball to hit Salamander to the back of the head. The ball then turned into an electrified net covering him, which Izuku said, "That is a fun device." Mirko giggled, "You and your tricks. You know, if you didn't hold me prisoner that one time and attacked me, I would be going on a date with you." Izuku smirked, "If I give you Salamander and maybe 3 of these net balls, will you?" Mirko looked at him, "Are you bribing me for a date?" Izuku said, "I see this as a trade with a win-win outcome." Mirko thought for a little bit, then smiled, "I think this will be something I can agree to." Izuku smiled and gave her a card. 3 days at the location on the card. "Remember, don't set up any traps because I will know if there will be traps." Izuku gave her the 3 balls and left her to take Salamander. Izuku smiled his way around town thinking, "Bakugo is suffering again. I got a date with Mirko, and now it's time to meet my construction company that is building my buildings." Izuku went inside small building near his base, which is the building of the man who is head of the construction company building his building. He got in to see the tall man with a short brown hair girl, which Izuku said, "Hello Mr. Uraraka, how are you doing today?" The girl got on her feet to asked, "What are you doing here, Anarchist?" The man scratched his head to say, "Don't worry Okako, this is the guy I have the construction contract with." Okako looked at him, "What?" Izuku chuckled, "Is that your daughter, I assume?" Mr. Uraraka smiled, "Yes, she is, my pride and joy." Izuku smiled, "I bet, especially since she is becoming a great hero." Okako asked, "Is this the man who gave you the contract that is helping you and the company get out of debt?" Mr. Uraraka smiled, "Yeah, at first me and your mom hesitated about taking the deal. The deal was too good to be true, but after some time we accepted it." Izuku smiled, "I needed a small construction company to build my buildings, which his company fits the bill. The company does good work, which I was coming to check on the progress on the latest building." Mr. Uraraka said, "It is almost done, but can I ask what this building is for?" Izuku smiled, "Marketing managers." Izuku wasn't going to tell someone that this new building that they were making is for the Brotherhood to show up and do meeting. They would look at him like he was crazy, but the press has seen his hero version from the multiverse and reported it, which Izuku has proven the press is right. But the government keeps saying he doesn't have technology for it, which in turn Izuku on live TV on the news showing off the technology bringing Miss Anarchy from her dimension just piss off the government that he has the tech. Izuku smiled, "Have a nice day." He walked out, which then Okako followed him to say, "I'm sorry for the misunderstanding." Izuku smirked, "You don't need to, you didn't know. You are a hero in training and it's your job to prepare to fight villains like me." Okako smiled. I would like to thank you for helping my parents. You're not a bad guy like some people think. Izuku chuckled. If you want, you can go on a date with me. Okako blushed. What? Izuku smiled. Sorry, that was a strange thing to ask. Okako blushed. I don't disagree with the idea. Izuku gave her a card to say, meet me here in 6 days. Sounds good. Okako took the card and ran off, which he sighed. She looks like fun. Izuku went back to his office to put the dates on his phone, and he looked at computer to see the sales and production of the quirky racing drugs, weed, guns, and other stuff. He relaxed until he saw a flash of light in his office. A teen girl in a jackass outfit with white hair and a horn on her forehead appeared. Izuku asked, Eri? Eri looked him. Uncle Izuku, I played with your time travel device and I broke it. I'm very sorry. Izuku looked at the device and smiled. Don't worry, I will get some guys to fix it. Eri asked, You're not mad? Izuku chuckled. Why would I be mad at you? Eri sighed. I guess you're right, but how long will it take to fix it? Izuku said, probably a few hours, but as for the meantime, let's start some trouble. Eri smiled and they gave the device to the grunts to get to work, which Izuku and Eri got in the Tesla to drive off. Eri smiled. Uncle Izuku, I need to ask you something that I can't ask you in the future. Izuku asked, Am I dead in the future? Eri looked at him. No. You are not dead, but it's kind of embarrassing to ask you in the future. Izuku relaxed. Thank God, I'm not dead. So, what do you want to ask me? Eri asked. I've been going out with this boy for a while, but I don't know if we should be in serious relationship. I want to have one, but what if he doesn't want one? Izuku looked at her. If he doesn't want one, then dump him and move on, but any guy would be retarded for doing something like that. Just ask him and I'm real sure he will accept it. Eri smiled. Thanks Uncle Izuku. Izuku smiled. I'm heading to meet the Yarazas to make a business deal. Eri said, the famous hero family that are one of the richest families in Japan. Izuku smirked. You got that right. They may be heroes, but they are business people first because they have a few things I need, and I can give them a few things in exchange. Eri smiled. This will be fun, and I know you are going to get that deal. Izuku asked, how many wives do I have in the future? Eri said, 25. Izuku said, I need to go even further beyond. I need to go plus ultra, no. Even further. They continued driving around, which traffic stopped, which Izuku sighed. What is going on? Eri said, this is where you asked Aunt Ruko out on a date. Izuku looked at her. Ruko, who is the dragon hero? I must have balls of steel at this point. Well, I must give it a try. Izuku made the car fly over to see Ruko fighting multiple gigantification users, which she was in trouble, which he landed in the fight. He came out the car with Eri, which he shouted, hey fuckfaces, I'm going to be late because of your gang rape. One of the villains laughed. What are you going to do about it? Another one said, that's the anarchist guys, we shouldn't fuck with him. Another came over to step on Izuku's car, which Izuku shot a quirky racing bullet in his foot. The villain shrunk to normal size, which Izuku glared at them. Don't you dare step on my car. The villains attacked the duo, which Izuku tasted the family jewels of the attackers, and Eri went up to rewind them to normal size, then kick their family jewels. When they defeated them, Izuku said, you fight just like me. I'm so proud. Eri smiled. I learned from the best. Izuku said, I'm the best godfather in existence. Izuku then checked on Ruko, which she was in pain, which he said, hold still. He injected the stim pack in her to instantly heal her. She looked at him, which she asked, why? Izuku smiled. I can't leave a beautiful woman like you in pain. Ruko blushed. Thank you. Izuku pulled out a card to say, meet me at the location on the card in 10 days. Ruko looked at the card to ask, is this a date? Izuku smirked, you bet. Izuku and Eri jumped back in the car, which Eri asked, Why do you give out cards? Izuku said, original I was nervous to ask a girl out by words, so I use cards to do it for me. My writing is better than my words and the card also helps them remember the location and time. Eri was in awe for now understanding his reason for him giving cards, which she found in funny yet cute in a way. They then drove off to finish the day, which Izuku plans on expanding his harem and hopefully get back to time travel or dimensional adventures. Chapter 43, Happy 420, Motherfuckers. Izuku and the guys are going to celebrate 420, how much weed will they smoke? What else will they do on the most holiest day before Easter of the year? Let's get to it. Izuku came in the weed shop to shout, attention all customers, in celebration of this wonderful holiday. Everything is 69% OFF. Everyone cheered then Izuku grabbed Steven, Leo, and Atsuhiro to bring them to meet a special guest with the other guys. Izuku brought everyone to say, so in celebration of this glorious day, I brought friends to enjoy the day with. 2 people came out. The first one appeared, which Dabi in shock, it can't be. Snoop Dogg said, but it can be. The second person appeared, which Jin said, oh my god. Martha Stewart smiled, hello everyone. Everyone lost their shit that Izuku brought Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart to celebrate 420 with them. Which Izuku said, let's get cooking. They went to the kitchen in the base, which everyone was learning how to make the best wheat brownies in the world, which Izuku revealed God's lettuce. They got to work to make blondies, blonde-colored brownies, for them, because the wheat is golden color. Then it was only fitting to make them into blondies, which the guys were in excitement by how good they were going to be. When they were done, Martha began with a fest to feed them when they get the munchies, which everyone helped out. Tamura came in to see the guys with Snoop and Martha cooking, which he asked, what are you doing? Izuku said, we are making food for ourselves when we get the munchies from the blondies. Tamura sat on the couch while they made a fried chicken, mac and cheese, a cake made with Nutella, mozzarella sticks, grilled cheese sandwiches with bacon, and pizza rolls. Everyone looked at it, which they grabbed the blondies to eat them, which they instantly got high. The blondies were so good it was a good thing they put it on a low dose, because it would freak them out if they put too much in it. They had movies to watch while they got back to relax and get lost. The first movie was Reefer Madness, which was an anti-weed propaganda movie. They watched 15 minutes, into which Dabi giggled, rolled into harmless cigarettes. Jin smiled. Harmless and cigarettes next to each other. I can't believe Americans at the time were that stupid. Snoop smirked. White men in America were pretty stupid at the time. Izuku closed his eyes. If you closed your eyes, you can see an entire galaxy. Tamura closed his eyes. He's right. Shato came in, which he saw the blondies and took one to join everyone, which everyone would watch movies like the B-movie, Ted, and a few others. Shato muttered on about secret love children, which Dabi would calm him down. Snoop asked, what's first thing you think about in the morning? Martha said, what am I going to make today? Izuku said, can I get up? Dabi chuckled, where am I? Iguchi and Jin said, same. Atsuhiro said, am I still in a dream? Shato smiled, same. Tamura smiled, which game am I going to play? Steven giggled, what is the government hiding today? Leo said, I need some weed. Snoop asked, hot or cold? Everyone said, hot. Snoop chuckled, tacos or burgers? Izuku said, burgers. Shato, Atsuhiro, Jin, and Tamura smiled, same. The rest said, tacos. Snoop laughed, assortits. Izuku said, both. Jin said, ass. Martha said, ass. Dabi said, ass. Everyone else said, tits. Snoop asked, worst job you ever had? Izuku said, easy, slave, valuer. Dabi said, Endeavor's son. Shato said, same as to ya. Jin said, bus boy. Iguchi said, trash man. Atsuhiro said, none I can think of. Steven said, none yet. Leo said, truck driver in a war. Everyone nodded at their answers, which Snoop said, "This is some real deep questions, we should continue." Izuku chuckled, "I'm going to get me some of that cake." Izuku went over to the food then asked, "What am I doing here?" Dabi said, "You went to get some pizza." Izuku said, "Thanks Jin." Snoop asked, "If you can remake any movie, what movie would you remake?" Izuku said, "The Suicide Squad, but keep Will Smith as Deadshot." Dabi said, "Star Wars 7 through 9 should be remade." Everyone stopped to think that they were right, which Jin said, "I would remake I Am Legend." Everyone leaned back by the bold statement, which Snoop continued, "I always wake up blank." Izuku said, "Hungry." Dabi said, "Thirsty." Martha said, "Full of energy." Jin said, "Tired." Shito said, "Cold." Iguchi said, "Stretching." Atsuhiro said, "Not wanting to wake up." Leo said, "Where's my joint?" Steven said, "Is the government after me?" Snoop asked, "My favorite position is blank." Izuku said, "Depends on the girl." Dabi and Steven said, "Dougie." Shito and Leo said, "Missionary." Jin, Atsuhiro, Iguchi, and Tamura said, "Cowgirl." Izuku looked at Tamura like, "Holy shit, Tamura knows what we are talking about" kind of look. Martha said, "You ain't getting anything out of me." They all laughed for a while, until Snoop brought the attention to the game. "If life is unfair to everyone, then is it fair?" Dabi smiled, "No, because that is like saying a person is loyal to everyone, then who are they really loyal to?" Izuku said, "My mind is blown." Everyone's mind was blown from Dabi's statement, which Snoop asked, "If God sneezes, then who will bless him?" Everyone stared at different directions trying to think of an answer, which no one could figure it out. Izuku chuckled, "If you think about it, the Olympics, it's the only time where you hear great execution by North Korea and it's okay." Iguchi said, "Holy shit. That's a really deep thought." Dabi said, "If you think about it, snakes are just tails with faces." Everyone laughed their asses off by the comment, which Jin said, "Neil Armstrong was the first person on the moon, and Neil is spelled backward as alien." Everyone giggled by it. Then Shito asked, "Guys, if a turtle loses its shell, is it naked or homeless?" Tamura said, "It would actually be both." Tamura then said, "Okay guys, hear me out, it's fucked up that we go to a cow to get some milk when we can make our own. Like you don't see a dog to a goat to get some milk, which is kind of fucked up." Izuku said, "I think you should take smaller doses, for your own safety." Everyone relaxed, which Izuku got a call, which he picked up. "Hello?" Inko on the other end, "Hey Izuku, what are you doing?" Izuku chuckled, "Just working and relaxing." "Why?" Inko asked. "Well, are you supposed to be somewhere in 2 hours?" Izuku looked at his calendar to say, "Oh yeah. Just give me a moment." Izuku hung up, then looked at his legs, which Dabi asked, "Are you going to get up?" Izuku said, "I don't know how to get up." Atsuhiro looked at him, "What?" Izuku said, "You heard me, I don't know how to get up." Shito and Dabi helped him to get up, which Izuku said, "I'm going to forget how to do that again." Izuku saw he warp portal he scheduled, for which he walked in to see Melissa, which they came for an ultrasound with her. It's been about almost 5 months, which Izuku has really good insurance and has wedding plans for each girl, so he was beyond prepared. He is high as the sky, but he still reads documents and can be serious in situations. No one could drug him to do what he didn't want. He had special training on how to operate like a normal person while high or drunk. As for date rape drugs, one could say you need a higher dose to get him. Which, he sat with her, which the doctor was explaining everything, and they got to see the babies. Izuku cried a bit from seeing twins, which Melissa smiled. "Are you okay?" Izuku said, "I'm going to have twins soon, and they are going to have the best parents in existences." Izuku all his life had promised to become the father that he never had when his father left. He was excited to become the father to his children. Izuku may be stoned as hell, but he was going to be the best dad ever, and he was going to have a picture of the ultrasound on his desk. He was going to have display it on his desk with pride, and he knew the names of the twins, because they time traveled to save his ass that one time. Emily and George Madraya were their names if Izuku remembers correctly. He was excited to see them. He came back to the party with a picture which he said, "I'm going to have twins." Everyone at the party cheered, which Izuku took a piece off the Nutella cake, and they continued with their stoner thoughts. Steven asked, "The system is rigged. We need to tear it down and bring anarchy." Izuku chuckled, "I'm currently working on that, which it will soon happen. It will just take a little longer." Everyone continued enjoying the party, which they got autographs from Snoop and Martha, which when they left, Izuku said, "I recorded the recipe on how she made those bomb-ass blondies." Dabi asked, "What are you going to do tomorrow on Easter Sunday?" Izuku smiled, "Take Eri to the park for an Easter egg hunt and have a date with the rabbit hero herself." The guys looked at him. "What?" Izuku smirked, "You heard me. I'm going to bang my Easter bunny on Easter." Higashi said, "You have balls of steel at this point. What's next?" "The dragon hero." Everyone laughed, which Izuku chuckled, "Actually." Jin said, "No." Izuku smiled, "I got a date with her as well 6 days after Mirko." Jin bowed, "You are a god." Higashi bowed next to Jin, "A man who knows no boundaries and does it all without a quirk. You deserve to be called a god." Izuku said, "Your god commands you to stop bowing to me, because it's just weird as hell." They laughed a little bit, which Tamura was super stoned and trying to find the door. The guys watched and giggled as he was trying to find the door. Tamura looked under the couch, behind the TV, feeling the walls, and running around. Izuku asked, "Tamura, do you need some help?" Tamura turned around. "How long were you guys here?" Dabi lied, "About 30 seconds ago." Tamura believed in the lie, and they helped him back to his room at the bar, which Izuku and the guys went home to end their celebration of the best day of the year. Chapter 44, Happy Easter. Izuku is going to celebrate Easter in style by taking Eri and Gon on a legendary Easter egg hunt. Izuku also will have his date with the rabbit hero on Easter, like a perfectly timed boss. "Let's do it." Izuku got on his usual green dress shirt with black leather jacket and dress pants. He then put on the black Oxfords to show off a little class. He then pulled up to get Eri to take her to the park for the Easter egg hunt. Izuku already had an Easter egg hunt for her as well that involves puzzles to lead them to different parts of the city. Izuku sat at the park bench to watch Eri, Gon, and Koda run around to find some eggs, which Izuku smiled at the sight. Izuku leaned back but kept an eye out for heroes who think they can catch him and make sure Eri and Gon are alright. Izuku gave every one of his grunts have the day off, which he does at every holiday: New Year's, Easter, Valentine's, Thanksgiving, Halloween, and Christmas. While everyone in Japan was working holidays and overtime, Izuku's grunts get insurance, great pay, holidays, and other stuff, which is just a way for Izuku to flex every business he competed with. Izuku then sensed someone sitting next to him. He looked to see an older teen with brown hair and eyes. Izuku asked, "The crawler?" The crawler nodded. "Please don't call me that in public." Izuku shrugged. "Okay Koichi, why are you here?" Koichi asked, "How do you know my name?" Izuku chuckled, "Like I said long ago, I have an entire building full of information on heroes, villains, and vigilantes. The information isn't just about quirks but about names, addresses, and everything. Except the names and addresses cost a lot more." Koichi was still in shock but asked, "I want to know your end goal. What is your end goal?" Izuku said, "Besides true equality. Fun. I want to have fun until the day I die." Koichi looked at him. "Why don't you join us on a few fights?" Izuku smirked. "I usually am fine on my own and mostly fight solo. But I will think about." Koichi revealed the picture. "Do you know who could do this?" Izuku looked at the picture. "The scarred man." Koichi asked, "Who is the scarred man?" Izuku smiled. "That will cost some money, you know." Koichi asked, "How much?" Izuku said, 11,000 yen for quirk and 112,000 yen for my full knowledge on him. Goichi asked, "What?" Izuku said, "You heard me." Goichi said, "Where are you getting these prices from?" Izuku chuckled, "I can price whatever I want because I have the best analysis and I have bought everyone who does analysis as well. I have a monopoly on this business, so I charge what I feel like." Goichi asked, "Can I find you tomorrow with the cash for this?" Izuku gave him a card with the location. "I will be there at the time written on the card. Don't be late." Koi nodded and left. Wichiri and Gon came up to Izuku, which Izuku asked, "Did you two have fun?" They nodded, which he then took them on an Easter egg hunt around the city, which took them a few hours to find all the eggs. Which after he was done with his fun with them, he changed to a grey tuxedo for his date. He arrived at the location 2 hours early to check for traps and whatnot. He knew Rumi didn't like working in teams, but it doesn't hurt to check. He checked in places to see no traps were placed and he went back to pretend he got arrived. He saw her coming, which he thought to himself, "I want those legs to sandwich me, more specifically I mean my face." He smiled, "Hello Rumi." She looked at him, "How do you know my name?" Izuku smirked, "I'm the best quirk analysis in the underworld and I have non-stalker ways of getting information." She smirked, "That's just creepy." Izuku smiled, straightforward, "I like that in a woman." They went inside and after ordering some food, she asked, "Why are you interested in me?" Izuku chuckled, "Strong independent woman, speaks from her mind, beautiful, incredible strength, and like me always kick ass." Rumi blushed from the comment, which Izuku said, "You are currently number 5. Well before All Might retires, which will make you number 4. You have put a lot of hard work, which truly impresses me." Rumi asked, "Do you actually like me?" Izuku looked at her, "Yes." Rumi smirked, "You speak from your mind as well." Izuku chuckled, "I like to give my honest opinion on things and do the least amount of damage as possible." Rumi asked, "Minimum amount of damage?" Izuku said, "I mean I want to pay the least amount of money for property damage. It's pain. I may be a villain, but I feel bad for causing damage sometimes. I have standards and I also like to flex on heroes that I pay for my damage and most don't." Rumi giggled, "That's funny if you think about it. You have morals and you definitely act on it to make us look bad. That explains a lot." Rumi respected very few people, but Izuku was the only villain she respected because he was strong. He beat up All Might single-handedly, and he is a nice guy. Even when she was captured by him, he gave her an incredibly nice room to live in. She was given amazing food, perfect temperature, a comfy bed, and even a TV. A lot of people would call him a coward because he would mostly run away from the fight at the beginning, but Rumi knew that it is his true fighting style. He looks for advantages and backing him to a wall will make the odds turn to his favor. Rumi smirked, "With your training in mind, imagine the hero that you could have been." Izuku chuckled, "I could have been a hero that probably could defeat Endeavor and take number 2 from him." Rumi asked, "Whatever happened to Endeavor?" Izuku shrugged, "I heard he was kidnapped by a guy dressed as a reporter." Izuku was that reporter to give to Dabi for his birthday present to give in to Dad to turn into a Namu for Dabi. Was he going to reveal that? Of course not, but some people assumed that he was involved in the action because he did kidnap his father to torture and turn him into a Namu. But he wasn't going to flat out lie, so he just said the truth, which is that he was kidnapped by a guy dressed as a reporter. Which is true because he was dressed as a reporter to kidnap him, he said, but he's gone and that's all people could say. Rumi nodded, "I bet his family has it rough." Izuku said, "Who knows? Maybe the rumors about his family abuse were true and they are having a blast." Izuku knows how the family and dealing with the situation Dabi and Shido know about Endeavor being a Namu, which Dabi was working on telling Natsuo then Fuyumi then their mother. Izuku asked, "So, where should we go after this?" They walked around to find a thug coming up to say, "Hand me your money." Rumi and Izuku laughed their asses off. Izuku laughed, "Is he robbing us?" Like a pro hero and me. The anarchist. Rumi laughed. How stupid can one person be? This is going in the books as the dumbest criminal in existences. The thug was about to pull the trigger because he was pissed, but Izuku threw a baseball in the air. The thug watched the ball while Rumi gave him a kick to the gut, which Izuku looked at her legs. Rumi smirked. You like my legs? Izuku said, I want those sexy legs to sandwich my face. Rumi smirked. You do know how powerful these legs are, right? Izuku smiled. Worth it. Rumi couldn't tell if he was joking or he was being serious about this, which they continued to see the Easter parade. They watched it and Izuku said, they are missing something. Rumi asked, what are they missing? Izuku smirked, isn't it obvious? They are missing you. Like the rabbit hero on the Easter parade. I mean, I will give this parade a 4 out of 10 because you aren't on a float. Rumi laughed a bit from the comment, which Izuku thought to himself, I'm getting closer. I can't wait. They went to her place, which Izuku checked his pockets. Perfect. I got the condom. The next day, Rumi woke up to get ready for the day. She had a great day off, which she was amazed by Izuku in bed. Which she headed to the kitchen to get a quick bite to eat before she headed out. She came in think that Izuku left, but he was in the kitchen cooking some food for her. Izuku turned around still shirtless. Good morning. I got you breakfast before you head off. Rumi looked at it. Thanks, you definitely are unlike most men. Izuku chuckled. I am the definition of unlike most men. Well, that's what I've been told. Rumi giggled a bit, which after they ate, Izuku then got on his phone to text someone to warp him out, but he asked, you want to go out again sometime? Rumi smiled, that would be nice. Izuku put in other cards before heading in the warp gate. He went through to see Dabi, Jin, Atsuhiro, and Iguchi to say, I banged the rabbit hero and I got my face sandwiched by those sexy legs. The guys high-fived him, which Dabi asked, are you not afraid by STDs? Izuku said, Stimpaks can fix that. Yuri could rewind me if necessary, and I have really good doctors on speed dial. Jin asked, how are those legs? Izuku said, I almost died. But I would have died a happy death. Those are legs worth dying for. Iguchi and Dabi saw Sensei behind Izuku, which he continued, I had her riding on my dick and man was it a fun ride. Sensei was disturbed yet intrigued by what Izuku was talking about. Atsuhiro and Jin, seeing that Izuku doesn't notice Sensei, decided to keep it going until Sensei say something or Izuku to notice his presence. Jin smirked, a little fluff pillow or handle that you can use to turn her on more. Sensei was now very disturbed, which Atsuhiro asked, how about the ears? Izuku said, they were soft and sensitive to her, which I got to stroke them. Dabi smirked because he wanted in on the fun. You used protection, right? Sensei quickly said, I hope the fuck you did. Izuku stiffened. Yes, I did. Sensei said, we can talk about this later. Sensei walked away and Izuku said, you assholes. The guys fell to the ground laughing their asses off, which Izuku chuckled, hands down though, best Easter in history.